G'day and welcome to On The Esky, a sports podcast where we like to wrap up the week that was in sport, smash a few schooner matatas, that means no worries, and talk some absolute dribble. On the menu for today's episode, 4-0, baby, 4-0. It was 1 wicket away from being 5-zip. Did pick it, by the way, a little bit of rain in Sydney. Didn't put money on it. Don't like to win money. So the Aussies did win in Hobart in 3 days. They celebrated accordingly. A big bombshell, the former Test captain of India, Virat Kohli, has stepped down. We'll get stuck into that. NFL Super Wildcard weekend has come and gone. There's 8 left. We'll preview the Divisional weekend coming up. The weeks that were in the round ball sports, the NBA, the EPL, and it's that time of the year, boys. Everyone's interested in tennis for 2 weeks down under. And we also have a massive UFC, 2 title fights coming up, UFC 270. Please remember, we are live now, but if you're catching this later, we have timestamps down here if you want to skip to the sports that you like, or if you're complete nuffy, watch all of it. Please consider chucking us a subscription even on the YouTube or a follow on the Instagram. 180,000, boys. Thank you. 180,000 on YouTube. Yes, 2/3 did come off one video, but that's okay. Need India to beat Australia more often at the Gabba. On my left, I have the fastest research man in the Southern Hemisphere. Monkey Magic, how was your week? How are you going?
Yeah, good week. Didn't really get up to too much. Didn't really have a chance to watch too much sports. Did catch a little bit of Australian Open, so yeah, keen to get stuck into this week's podcast.
You got your tennis expert hat on?
I do. I watched 2 sets of a tennis match last night, and yeah, I now know everything about tennis.
There you go. Unqualified opinion. That's us here on the Esky. On my right, I've got the man whose house we are in at the moment. Sean, how are you, mate? How's your week?
Very good. Lots of sport as always, mostly NFL related for me, and of course a bit of cricket.
Yes.
But we'll talk about more of that in a minute. How was your week, Peppy?
Very good. Week on the tools here. Down under, La Nina in full effect down here. Not as warm as we would expect for this time in Australia, but luckily there's a lot of spice to come on the Esky. Tonight, we will be shouting a beer, as we like to do, to kick off each episode, to award or pay homage to someone that did something extraordinary during the week, or just needs a beer. Mine will be going to Beth Mooney, Australian women's cricketer. Was set to play in the women's Ashes, which just kicked off. Unfortunately, in the nets, she copped a bit of friendly fire and broke her jaw. Poor thing. So no chewable food, I'd imagine. It'll be through the straw for a little bit. Guess what you can get? You can drink through a straw. One of these bad boys. Beth, you probably deserve it.
Good calories.
Yeah, that's right. Good calories. Carb loading for the next Ashes. It'll be horrible sitting out there and watching the girls go about it from the sidelines with a broken jaw. Maybe someone needs to do it to us. Tend to be a little bit overactive the old jaw.
It'll help the pronunciation a little bit, maybe.
Enunciation. Women's Ashes is underway. The Aussies had a win last night. I do believe it is 3 one-dayers and a test match and 1 T20 in there. Something of that. Speaking of green and gold and black, I guess.
Yeah, so.
That's the flag colours. Flag colours. Just to. Well, I'm talking about the Jamaican bobsled team. Some people say, you can't believe Jamaica. We've got a bobsled team. Cool Runnings, the famous movie, 1988 Calgary Olympics. The tale of 4 men from the Caribbean going to -20 in Alberta. Guess what? They're back, baby.
They are back, and that's my shout beer of the week. Yeah, as you said, Jamaican bobsled team has qualified for the Beijing Winter Olympics. This is the first time that they've made it to the Winter Olympics for the 4-person bobsled since 1998, which was
1988.
1998
was
the last time they made another one. They've made a few.
Nagano.
Yep, I'll bring it up now. So Nagano back in Japan.
Where was their movie? Where was Cool Runnings 2?
Well, that would have been Cool Runnings 3. That would have been the trilogy there.
Really?
Yes.
All right, run us through it. The history of the Jamaican bobsled team.
Because we all know how the history of Betty White went the other week. So we'll spend another 15 minutes talking about
At
Jamaican
least
bobsled
they're
team.
alive.
And then we'll get into the geography.
Yeah, that's it.
they're alive.
Yeah, so made their debut back in 1988. Repeated back.
Look at that. 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
4 in a row. 92,
Yeah.
94, and 98.
That's it.
Do you know where they were off the top of your head? Because someone here does, and you'll probably
All right. Where were they? The first one was Calgary. Canada. The last one was in Japan.
So 94, and excuse me if the pronunciation is no good here. 92, 94. So they used to have the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics used to be in the same year.
Yep.
94, I believe, was the first year that they split them up. I think 94 we were in Norway, Lillehammer, something like that.
Yep.
And 92 was France. And it escapes me.
Was it LA?
No, Los
Atlanta.
Angeles doesn't have too much.
No. Was it the US? Was it US?
I think it's in France. 92.
It was in
88.
It was in France.
Yeah.
If I got this all right.
Yeah, but
Oh.
no, you got to go back here. Good podcasting, this.
Yeah, great
Well,
podcasting.
good
Sorry.
enough. Good
Well,
enough.
someone said he knew it off by heart. We didn't tell us.
Albertville.
What was 88?
Calgary.
Was Calgary. Okay.
Yeah.
84 was Los Angeles because it's summertime. And
Yeah, that was getting close.
you can't really ski. Anyways, we're off to a
I was
fucking
thinking about
here.
Olympics.
Alrighty. Anyways, well, shout out to them. Are they a chance or they get a cool
probably
range 5?
probably cool runnings 5. Probably as much of a chance as any of the other times they've made it to the Olympics. So
I saw Ice Age is going around for like the 7th time, so fuck me. If Sid the Slush gets a go, surely fucking cool runnings 5 could be a go.
we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Winter Olympics coming up pretty soon.
Start of Feb. A couple
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. So we'll keep a keen eye on the Jamaican bobsled team.
Let's go.
Let's go. How about you, Sean?
So, for me, I'm going to shout out a dude that probably doesn't need any more beers, Nathan Lyon.
One more never hurt.
You never have not enough beer.
Yeah, true. So, having bowled absolutely not a single ball
Zero balls.
in the entire test in Hobart, he needed to get a session in. So, he was out about at the Hobart pub for till 6 a.m. in the morning.
I think it was in the hotel. In the
Hotel?
hotel.
The hotel?
Sitting up there, getting moved on by the fuzz.
Yes.
By the fuzz.
6
Yeah,
a.m.
sitting up there
Still,
with-
still full in kit.
Yeah, with English captain
kit.
Joe Root and Jimmy Anderson as well.
40 years old, still going at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So, a great Australian lad, of course, getting kicked out at 6 a.m. and then backing up a couple hours later for the team lunch.
Yeah, it's
So-
disgusting behaviour. Who would do that?
Yes.
Not
So,
me, I wouldn't be there at 6 a.m.
no, you'd be done by 9, passed out by that point. So,
Yeah.
go hard too early and then fall asleep.
Get a bit
before you go home.
excited sometimes.
Yes. So big shout out to Nathan Lyon, who probably put away plenty more than he did balls in that game. But my shout out goes to him for this week.
Did you see he backed up and was leading the songs against the Barmy Army?
Yes.
And a bit of classic banter.
Yep.
Stand up if you're up 4-zip. And he
Yep.
was standing.
He was standing.
Yeah. And I didn't see too many of the Barmy Army sit down, which was unusual. Anyways,
They would have been lovely.
Giving it back and forth. But I think that gives a good segue into the mop of the week for you, Peppy.
Beautiful, yeah. We like to hand out a mop for general moppery. Some behaviour that we don't really like. We like to shout a beer to someone that deserves it, and we like to give a mop to someone that deserves it. So this week's mop of the week is Graham Thorpe. It's come out that the bloke there filming the boys 6 a.m. snitching, if you will.
It's for the lawyers.
It's for the lawyers. This is for the lawyers. This is for the lawyers. It's naming each person there.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, this is someone that's in, your average punter that films people at 6 o'clock in the morning is probably not going to name all 5 cricketers that were sitting there. So it was Graham Thorpe, who is an assistant coach of the English. Apparently, he was smoking a cigar inside.
Indoors, yeah.
And
Yeah.
possibly that's why the police were called. Monks, do you have any further on that?
Yeah. So I think it all stemmed from that incident. So he was, I don't know what time in the morning you'd be smoking a cigar, but he was smoking a cigar inside the hotel.
Considering usually cigars are reserved for the winners on this occasion. So
That's it. And it's also very well known that you're not allowed to smoke inside venues in Australia. So I'm assuming bar staff would have told him, look, hey, put it out, whatever. Didn't comply. Cops would have had to have been called for that sort of incidents. Subsequent to that, they'd been moved outside. He was probably still smoking a cigar, sinking tins.
Yeah.
And that's when I guess the videos come out when the fuzz came and ushered them all inside. Should point out that all the players were fine with it. They were happy to move inside. They were chatting with the cops and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, or I don't know if they went to bed. Probably just went and found some more beers somewhere else.
Had a quick shower maybe. And then straight back out. Get rid of some of the beer sweats and then go straight back out of town.
This is the most English story ever. They love to shit on their own, eat their own. The press has been going mad over there. It's the worst English team that's ever toured Australia. Yada, yada, yada. Back in my day, we would have come here and got flogged by the 90s Australian team. So it was from within their own camp. There you go. Yeah. The culprit has been found. Graham Thorpe, have yourself a mop. For stitching up your own boys.
That's it. I mean, you touched on it just then as well. Like, I suppose after the Ashes series, the whole public has been going about, they should axe Root and all that sort of stuff. And
disagree.
Yep. Well, I suppose we'll get into that when we recap the
series. Yep.
The series, yeah. But English Cricket Board had started an investigation of this incident. They found that Graham Thorpe was I guess the main party involved, and he's probably going to be he will probably be the first person to be axed.
Scapegoat. They're not going to axe Jimmy Anderson or Joe Root, so yeah, he'll be the one that gets a slap on the wrist / probably just chuffed on, you move along.
100 tests at averaging 45 is a pretty handy stick back in his day.
Yeah.
But that's what you get if you dog the boys, I guess.
That's it. Well, if I go to his ESPN Crick Info,
like if you didn't, honestly, if you didn't take the video and share it with whoever shared it, and then shared it with everyone else, there's no evidence. And the boys just got moved on, and no one knows about it.
Yeah,
so
non-issue. So the first sentence of his bio on Crick Info, if I just read this out real quick, from his cricketing days. During the winter of 2000-2001, Graham Thorpe established himself as the most complete English batsman since the Gooch Gower era.
That was like the early 90s, so well done. Most established fuckwit in 2022. Have yourself a mop, Graham, and we'll move forward. Again, England launching an investigation to the boys having a few beers after a long series away. And quite famously, after the T20 World Cup, they were both sides. I suppose England had a few extra days off. They were on the flight together, and the Aussies didn't get to really celebrate. Also, another caveat on top of that, Lion, Head weren't there. Kerry was there.
Yep.
Anyways, tidbits. Ashes.
Let's talk some actual cricket.
4 zip. Shout out to the Grade Cricketer, a good cricketing podcast. They had coined the term 4.9 to 0. We were one wicket away from a 5 zip sweep. We spoke about it just before. The English press going mad. Probably the worst touring side that we've ever seen over here. A little bit hard done by old
I'm
Joe
not sure if it
Root.
was the worst touring side, but if they had...
Well, they didn't lose 5-0 and they did... They did 2 series ago.
Talent-wise, I think they've got talent there, and they've got a few young guys they still need to work through into the squad that they tried late. But, the result, it was probably the worst result they've ever had down here.
Yeah.
So...
Well, it wasn't. It's statistic. They've been swept down here 5-0. So it wasn't the worst result. It was 1 wicket away from being tied worst result.
It's probably... The result was probably just subsequent to they've played almost, or at least 12 months away from home, little to no break, within the COVID era. Like, they're probably just tired. Yeah.
Debatable.
Yes.
They needed that outside of... I was saying... I feel sorry for Joe Root, boys. I feel sorry for him. Like, he didn't have the series that he was probably after. He's still top scored for him, coming off a record year. He needs some blokes to show a bit. We saw a bit out of Zach Crawley the last few games.
Yeah.
He looks like he might be a pretty handy test cricketer. He's got a 250 odd against Pakistan, so obviously can do it. But just outside of route in that top 6. Stokes coming back, obviously, from that long
and
break.
was banged up for the last 2 test matches.
Bairstow, very good, obviously, in Sydney.
Of course, missing Archer's probably a big one for someone not
that's
down
right.
here.
Yeah, Joffre, would it have changed the series? 4 games? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. And their bowlers aren't to blame.
No, they bowled well. And, next time they come down here, it's probably no Broad or Jimmy Anderson.
You wouldn't think so, no.
You wouldn't think so, no. So, but they've got some young guys there, like Wood looks really good. He
Wood
bowls
actually
wheels.
looks
really good.
Yeah, especially down here where that extra bit of pace, is needed and warranted.
Yeah.
Maybe when they
Works and Robinson probably needed a bit more. Like, it was good to see.
Yeah, didn't see it a
Ollie
heap
play
out
better.
of place. I quite liked Robinson. If Robinson
Yeah.
could find 4 or 5 Ks extra pace, he moves the ball around. I didn't think he did himself a disservice this tour.
Yep.
Colin Funky Miller can bowl off spin too. Andrew Simons used to bowl a bit of meds followed up by offies. Don't mind that, but didn't see probably Chris Wokes' best. No. And what do you do?
No legitimate spinner has probably hurt them a little bit too, and
Jack
especially
Leach,
the overrate.
He's still on a hat trick. He's still waiting. He's still waiting.
True.
Can't get one over games apparently. It's only over innings.
Yes.
Anyways, let's look at the actual test itself. We were watching the first session unfold last week, and look, we talk about is this a horrible English slide? Yada yada yada. Don't forget, boys, it was a week ago tonight or earlier this afternoon, a week ago that we were 3 for 20 on a green deck that looked absolutely unplayable. Travis Head, he got player of the series, boys. He probably won us 2 tests. He probably won us 2 tests because he comes out at 3 for 20 and just goes, or I'll score a ton striking at 90 when we're in the absolute shit on something that looked absolutely unplayable. And in Brisbane, we're in it, not quite up shit creek, but in a similar circumstance as well when he came out and scored that awesome 150.
Needed someone to steady at that point, and he came out and not only steadied but put on decent runs too.
Good to see Cam Green amongst the runs.
Yeah,
showed a lot with the ball this series. Needed some runs. Good to see him there with 70.
Have you seen the picture of him with the other batsman?
So big.
Yes, he's
so
huge. The others have the exact same average of height. Just draw a line over, and then Cam Green's a foot taller than the rest of them. So
he's tall. He bowls wheels. He's 22. He's cute. He's going to play a lot of Test cricket, isn't he? He's like with the ball. He's ferocious. We saw him, and we're glad that David Milan was okay in the next innings. He's a 6 that can bowl 145 and take your head off, and averages 50 in first class cricket down here. So he's going to play a lot of Test cricket, isn't he?
Right. Yeah, I agree. So I was going to ask you a question on Cam Green. Do you think he needs to go one or the other way in the order? Because I think his size is probably going to limit him from moving up as a more batsman. So do you think he should probably focus more on his bowling and potentially go in a 4? Or do you think just stick with what he is as on both and not specialise, but specialise in being a all-rounder?
I think he's a genuine 6. He's doesn't have that elusive Test ton, but we've seen what he can do in first class cricket down here. Excels with the stick. It's only a matter of time, I think, till he has a Test ton. And we speak about 2 different summers. Last year, was out there scoring a few runs, not getting a big, not much of a chance with the ball in hand. And this summer, absolutely killed it with the ball in hand. Had Joe Root's number. I think he got him 3 occasions. Chopping in to give relief. He was so good that Nathan Lyon didn't need to bowl on this green top down in Hobart. No, I don't think he needs to go up or down the order. I think he's a genuine 6. And he's 22, boys. You think of Test cricketers, you think of, say, Mike Hussey debuted at 31. You think of this game where you often develop quite late.
Your late 20s is kind of when you want to get the chance.
It's not like soccer. It's not like Aussie rules football where you can be 18, 19 and out there running around, with the best of them. Shout out to Sam Walsh doing good things for Carlton, as a teenager. Might have just turned 20, actually. But cricket, it's one of those games where you tend to develop a little bit later.
It's technique.
This bloke's 22.
And most of your technique you get from long repetition. So, it makes more sense. So, I personally always lean to more of the bring the young talent in and try and build them for long term so they kind of mould them in the way you want, which has always been my push of don't ever put Miss March back in there because he's not as, yes, he's great on the white ball with the batting, but his bowling's just not the same sort of level as Cam Green. No. So I think Cam Green long term is going to offer you more and more places. So, and more of broadest spectrum of what he can actually do in your team. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think just leave him in there and just, even if he's struggling, just let him toil away and learn because he'll improve. Send him to the subcontinent. So, he might not make any runs or take any wickets, but who cares? He learned. In a couple of years, he would have learned how to play in those conditions. And then, you've got a limited 6 is going to be there for 15. Let's say 15 years. I want to put 20.
But hey, fucking 280 tests.
Exactly. He could be one of the longest serving Australian cricketers at that point.
It's interesting because we do have 9 test matches coming up in Asia. Will his role be so pronounced over there, or will he need to take a back seat over there? But
I honestly think, because I don't think he's done a tour over there yet.
No.
So I wouldn't surprise me if he struggles mightily.
We'll see what
But
happens.
I think it's a worthful lesson to do that, because what you gain long term is that potentially he learns how to play on those pitches.
I think he will need to step up a little bit more probably with the bat over there.
Correct.
But yeah, awesome to see what he can do. An interesting series down here that did suit the bowlers. We aren't so used to seeing, down here normally roads, plenty of runs. England didn't make over 300. I think we made 400 twice in the series. We saw Steve Smith struggle a little bit. But the bowlers, Scott Boland, he was sixth. He was the 6th in line, right?
Yeah.
So Hazelwood goes down with a side strain. We bring in Jai Richardson and Michael Neser.
For Cummins, yep.
Yep, Cummins, has the COVID close contact.
Flu, yep.
And then Neser and Richardson plays well, has a 5 for. They sit out. They bring in Scott Boland, horses for courses. MCG, people are questioning it. Has he done his time? Does he deserve to be there? Guess what? He took 18 wickets in the series at an average of 9.5, the lowest average ever for someone to take double-digit test wickets. And Paddy Cummins had himself a pretty
Paddy's going to Paddy.
And Stark
23 wickets, I think, across his 4 tests.
At about 18, and Stark had poles at about 25 and pretty handy with the bat. Nathan Lyon as well didn't even need a bowl in Hobart, and he still had, I think, 16 at about 23. So a really good series for the bowlers. So
question for you, it came from Manesh. What do we do with Scotty Boland and Hazelwood?
Hazelwood has to come back in, I think. You can't. Scott Boland stays in this squad now. Has to.
Yes.
Has to.
So the 9 tests, he'll be in the.
Can you bring up Josh Hazelwood, please? ICC rankings.
I'm
pretty sure he's top 6 across all 3 formats. It might be 2, 4, 6, but you can't drop Josh Hazelwood.
You would think they want to. Show a little bit of loyalty. He's been done a job for him.
He needs to go. He needs to go overseas, be in that touring squad, and if someone or if they want to rotate, little Cricket Australia rotation policy, yada yada. But. And this is obviously the Scott Boland memes, all the Scott Boland.
I love the Scott Boland.
Scott Boland, he makes the hairs stick up on the back of your arm. All you want your missus to whisper in your ear is Scott Boland. Men go to sleep, and who are they thinking about? No, they're not thinking about some sexy chick. Don't worry about it. They're thinking about Scott Boland. All the memes that come out of it, awesome. He needs to go away in those touring squads, but Hazelwood has to come back in, and hate to give Warney a platform. He was on Mitch Stark's case before this. There's maybe more consistent guys out there, et cetera. Maybe in those flatter decks over there in the subcontinent, maybe you want someone who's a bit more line and length. But Starkey was very impressive with the ball this series.
And Starkey adds a different element that none of the other ones can. Add as well.
So he can fucking kill you.
Yeah, he's a firebrand. He's
like Scotty Boland is going to bowl on length, edge ball, McGrath-esque.
Yes,
as per Hazelwood. Just put it on the car keys.
Yep.
5th stump, sneaky up, see you later, terrorise a whole nation. I think you need that Stark. In your bowling lineup. Monks, did you get Josh Hazelwood, please? I'm pretty sure he's top 6, is he, across all formats?
Yeah, so top 2 in ODIs. So second.
He's second behind Trent Bolt.
In T20s, he is 6th ranked. And then in tests, he is 8th ranked.
Oh, top eight. Miss Guzzi. And that may have changed with him having that side strain. We've got James Anderson 2 ICC points ahead and Tim Southey 7 points ahead there. So,
well, I think for the 9 tests, they're going to need to rotate some of the bowlers over there. Plus, they're probably going to take a squad of anywhere from 15 to 20, I'd say, since it is a long tour across many places, and they're going to.
And it may not be the same squad for each.
No,
for each one.
Agree.
But yeah, Scotty Boland, I hope your passport's up to date because you need to be on the plane.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I definitely said we do it, and. The battles, the horses for courses, maybe a little bit there, and then pick between Josh and Scott because they are that very similar type of bowler. Yeah, and maybe occasionally Mitch, depending on what sort of road they're playing on. If there's no, variable kind of bounce or potential use of the seam or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm
just stick with line.
I'm just hoping to see a bit more Test cricket for us Australians. Really starved of it in the
2 series in 2 years.
Yeah, in 2021, we saw the ICC best 11 come out from 2021. Marnus Labuschagne, the only Australian to make it. We did play 6 Tests in 2021 compared to 14-ish for England and India. Yep. Just looking hopefully forward to seeing a lot of Test cricket and the return to Pakistan. The people of Pakistan, they're missing Test cricket.
I think there was
hopefully all of that goes ahead and goes to plan.
Yeah, well, we'll get into New Zealand and having issues getting into there, but it looks like there was another bomb blast in Pakistan, so that doesn't
bode well. No, it doesn't bode well. But I suppose what do you do?
Cricket Australia is not real keen on sending any of these guys anywhere at the moment. It'll be hard to see where they go. I just want to. Hopefully they can get some subcontinent Test cricket in at least. Do that. I'm not too worried so much about the white ball format, but the more cricket is better than no cricket.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Let's just wrap up the end of Hobart.
Yep.
So 303 we made off the back of that great Travis Head ton. England skittled for 188. So a little bit of the tail wagging there. Sam Billings on debut. What do we think, boys? Do you think they'll stick with him going forward? Josh Butler, a very accomplished white ball cricketer, but didn't have the best series down here. What do you think they do? They've got a lot of options. For someone to go behind the gloves. They could not play Billings or Butler and have Bairstow keep. Ollie Pope can keep.
Yep.
What do they do going forward?
Depends on what you want to do long term, maybe.
Billings
is the
young,
youngest.
Pope is young, Bairstow's getting on, Butler's getting on.
Yeah, and Butler's kind of specialised in one format and hasn't really transitioned or translated enough into the red ball. So
and no one's questioning his white. Like sometimes when you watch Josh Butler play T20 cricket, you're like, you are one of the cleanest strikers of the ball in the world. Mm-hmm. You do wonder why it's not translating, I suppose, into the red ball format.
Mental. It's probably
possibly.
It's a different, it's a different style. Like we do, it's a different game, different style.
We like to say on the Esky, sometimes it's different sport.
It's
just about different sport.
So maybe Sam Billings. Maybe again another guy that might struggle for a year or two, but you're trying to retool this team for the next Ashes maybe done under in a couple of years, and it's a 3 or 4 years away is what you're trying to focus on. Get your county cricket system pumping, getting the guys out.
Let's
get into
let's go. Let's not go so far ahead. The next Ashes in England 2 years away. Mm-hmm. Obviously, pretty embarrassing showing for the Poms. How do we see them going on their home turf coming up in the next Ashes? You'd imagine Broad and Anderson probably won't be there.
Broad maybe because he'd be 36. So I think that's possible. I don't think Jimmy, he'd be 30.
He's 40, I think.
He'd be 40. He's 38 now, so he'd be 40, yeah. So
I think he's 40. I'm pretty sure he's nearly 40 now. Check that up.
No, Jimmy Anderson definitely not. Broad maybe at a pinch, but you'd hopefully want Archer going, firing then at the point. You want Broad to...
And we need a healthy Archer. We've seen what he can do.
Yeah, with Wood, Folkeson...
He's 39. He's 40 in July.
He'd be 40.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't think so.
Tell you what, I bowl about 95 k's per hour, and I don't try to bowl spin, and my body feels like it's about 59. So congratulations to Jimmy Anderson, 39 years old.
Sublime athlete. He's out to 6 a.m. with Nathan Ryan.
That's right, yeah, partying with the goat, partying with the goat.
Peak athleticism.
They're most wickets out of any fast bowler of all time. Obviously, an absolute weapon under the English conditions. Never really dominated down under, but one of the most accomplished fast bowlers of all time, and can have a beer with the boys in the morning. So that definitely bodes well in our books.
Yeah, so
definitely.
So my point being, I think you're probably trying to retool for that. You probably still have Joe Root as captain by that point.
Yeah.
But
what do we think about all this Joe Root, poor captain, yada yada? We touched on it last week.
You've got
noise, isn't it?
You've got no other options.
Who else?
There's no other options. I think you're trying to build, who's that guy? Is it going to be, is it Ollie Pope? No.
Yeah, Ollie
Pope?
He's kind of the anointed one going forward, I guess. He's 23 years old. I think he captained England at a under 19s level. But yeah, who else? Who else outside of Joe Root?
Yeah. So currently no one. So that's the thing. You're trying to retool, build that, guys. Maybe with the next Ashes is too soon for that point. Well, I'm thinking 3 years.
You'd want to do it quickly, though.
Well, Ollie Pope's 26 by that point. I think that's later 20s is where the English team will kind of come together and hopefully be a better unit than
for the foreseeable future. It has to be Root.
Yes,
it has to be. And any of this, he's responsible for their capitulation down here. No, he's coming off one of the best calendar years ever.
Yeah. And he's got a sore back, bro. He's been carrying
them. Yeah. Could they have made a few, could he have made a few better captaincy decisions? Sure. Anyone can be better. He's the man for the job going forward.
100%.
What do they say the difference between an egg and a root is?
What?
You can beat an egg, but you can't beat a root. He's the man going forward, boys. He's the man going forward.
Terrible. Before you do
again, to wrap up Hobart.
Finish up Hobart.
So we went back out, and England shown a little bit of fight. Actually, the day two probably belonged to England. Maybe even most of day three.
This is a 3-day test.
This is what makes me feel
3-day test. Yep.
Yeah, this is what makes me feel the next series in England will bode a lot better than how they did here in Australia.
Of course. But we spoke about it last week.
Later the conditions.
When we go over there, it's competitive. It was a split series last time. We retained the Ashes 2-2. Ben Stokes essentially, saved them in Headingley. The series before, we're competitive. We go over there, but when we lose 3-1 or we lose, it's close. It's close. When they come down here and they get absolutely pasted, you think, geez, what's going on? It kind of, maybe for the neutral viewer, it's maybe boring. It's so one-sided that it loses its allure.
Yeah. Well, you want competitive cricket. So that's what we tune in. That's what we tune in to watch. So, yeah. A 3-day, we gave India and England shit for a 3-day test over there. So to pull one out of ourselves.
And they did their best to make a deck that was most conducive to English skill in a nice green top. It was cool. It was overcast the whole time. Yeah. We speak about Hobart being, Newcastle down under, if you will, Newcastle upon Hobart. Not that they played Test cricket in Newcastle. I don't know where that analogy came from.
You can still see that our top order still struggled in those conditions.
Yeah, we spoke about Smith. Warner had a great start to the series, got a pair in this one. I think he made 3 and not much in Sydney. We saw it was tough going out there. And again, that probably it speaks volumes to how good Travis Head's innings was, to essentially win us this test match. So the Poms, they went out there and they I think that was none for 68, were they not? With Zach Crawley and Rory Burns. Tell you what,
and scoring well
Crawley, and we did just allude to it. Crawley looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. I think he needs to play a fair bit more Test cricket.
He's a big dude for a batsman,
with some skill. We saw Rory Burns. He'd had the top knot, the kind of ponytail. He was rocking that. And he goes, nah, fuck it, last test, hair down. They were saying he looked like John Bon Jovi on ABC Grandstand here. Oh, we're halfway there. He was halfway to 50. So well done, Rory Burns. Quite unlucky. Tried to late leave and just got his bottom edge off Cam Green. Cam Green, the chopped on king. He got a few in Hobart. And then, how else can you describe this? Capitulation, collapse, wanting to go home, wanting to go to the pub. Don't have to play 2 days of cricket.
Classic in England. So they capitulated.
I'll tell you, and I've got it there, boys. At none for 68, chasing 270 odd. Were we worried?
I was.
I was fucking worried. I texted. Shout out to Andrew Burns, friend of the Esky. He said, "It's England. Don't worry. Nothing to be worried about." I was fucking shitting myself.
That was my thoughts. That was my thoughts. It's England. It's still a long way to go. They've got to make another 200. It's doable. Like you start thinking, it's doable. They've got 3 days worth of cricket. It
wasn't going to be a draw at that point, was it?
Yeah.
So 2 days in a session, but round up 3, no worries. It was really hammered in the English press. The kind of rolling over, the waving of the white flag. When we got into that kind of middle order, they were talking a lot about Sam Billings. Just chipping one to mid on.
Just
Wood and Robinson just surrendering, giving up their wicket. But also, what do you do in that circumstance? You're down here. You've been away from your family for so long. You're in
Hobart.
You're facing... Hey, nothing wrong with Hobart. Shout out to them getting their first Ashes test. What else? What are you going to go out and bat for 2 days and save the game? You may as well go out swinging.
True, but then also you potentially could win a test match. So you don't want to be throwing the bat away and giving your wicket away.
When you're 8 down and you're a tail ender and you're facing Boy Cummins and Scott Boland.
By that point, you're just like, fuck it. Just, if you
it did look a little bit like a rollover.
Yeah, they were just like, we're done. We're not scoring 200 runs between us.
And full disclosure, this is coming from a man who plays Sunday social cricket, and our team got dismissed for 64 last time we played. That's the team, not the opening partnership. That's the Ashes, boys. We spoke about the celebrations. The boys had a bit of fun.
Yep.
Don't mind it. What? There was a noise complaint. Come on, man. Come on. Out of all the shit that goes on in the world in 2022, in any year, really. In fact, it's arguably better. They weren't out there. They weren't Genghis Khaning going out and raping and pillaging, were they? They were having a few beers after winning
Genghis.
the Ashes.
Another great world leader.
Debate. White ball, boys. I tell you what.
Before we get jumping into that, Monks, do you want to close it down and get a score in the
South Africa and India
game? They're playing
second ODI.
I believe India's had a bit of a collapse, is what the lads in chat have been saying.
They started well.
They did look. They looked like they were on top.
2 for 71's hardly a collapse. We got Pant and KL Rahul still at the helm.
Does Pant usually bat like?
No, he's been promoted. I think Pant normally bats 6.
But just said Pant, don't give a fuck. Just go out there. I think Kohli had a soft.
Kohli must have gone.
That's pretty bad. They let that away.
Fried him. Oh, jeez.
But they didn't get him out. Overthrows.
That looked like the BCCI frying Kohli this week. We'll get into that in a second. Speaking of getting fried, the New Zealand government, they do not give a fuck. Them, the separatist Republic of Western Australia. That's about it, I guess.
Well, Mark McGowan, I thought he could potentially be a mop this week, keeping his border closed.
I suppose it wasn't directly related to sports. We like to keep it about sport.
Scorchers weren't happy, but
less about
Where
politics.
did you see Josh Inglis?
Yeah, Josh Inglis is getting
stuck into him on Instagram.
He must do it for, there must be people over there that say, stay locked down.
Oh, they love it. They love it. This West Australians.
Don't look up. Good movie, that one. Good movie.
Anyway, what happened with New Zealand?
So they changed their quarantine requirements. Mm-hmm. There was meant to be a Chapel Hadley series starting next week. Over here, 3 ODIs and a one-off T20 at the Theatre of Dreams, Manuka Oval, Canberra. Tourism Canberra, get at us if you're looking for... Oh, if we're looking for some sponsorship, I don't even know why you'd come to this town unless you're a politician, to be honest. But they were meant to come here, and for the third consecutive year, it got indefinitely postponed. The New Zealand government, Jacinda Ardern, they changed the quarantine rules, and then the New Zealand Cricket Board, Cricket New Zealand, I believe, is the official term. They decided to say, "Look, boys,
so is that
you've got to quarantine if
if you come back?
Going back.
Okay.
Yep. Going
So
back.
New Zealand boys,
They,
I was like, yeah.
in their defence, they have got very little spicy flu over there. We're talking less than 3 digits a day, and not so much over here. So I get it.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, I don't know. I think Steve Smith was saying he quarantined in the last 2 years nearly 90 days. 90 days in isolation.
You travel around, that happens.
Yeah. So there's no other than the Big Bash and the Women's Ashes. No cricket down under now. That's the summer done. It's the first time in 44 years that there's no one-day cricket in an Australian summer.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much since the start of ODI.
yes, that is.
That's full. They're wearing pajamas. They're killing Test cricket. That's them days. That's Kerry Packer just getting his dick out and going, let's
make some money.
Let's revamp this game that's 100 years old.
There is Big Bash League, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yes.
no one days here for us. Disappointing, of course, missing out on a one day games, especially some here in Canberra. But hey,
Three years in a row, Australia, New Zealand. Maybe they're scared. I think they're scared.
well,
I reckon they're scared.
we played T20s over there, didn't we? Didn't play any
We played
one-days.
T20s, yeah. That was a big puppy storming
Yes.
going nuts in one of those games. But yeah, we haven't played an ODI for a while. Definitely not here. No. Boys, the big one. Who wants a beer? Who wants a beer to get stuck into this?
Get us a beer.
Sure.
If there's anyone in the comments that is a fan of the Indian cricket team, that's a fan of Virat Kohli, that's a fan of cricket,
Yes.
get at us in the comments. We are going to talk about Virat Kohli stepping down, getting pushed, resigning. Was it a bit of column A, column B? Regardless, Virat Kohli is no longer the Test captain of India.
Yeah, so huge news
Why?
coming out of the Indian camp with that. After losing the South African series, they're still in South Africa, of course, now playing those one-day matches that we just mentioned before. But yeah, I guess first off, initial reactions. What are your thoughts on your initial reaction that you got from hearing that news?
Came as a surprise. We did see last month that Kohli had been kind of asked to give up the asked.
Well, I think
told
he's
to give up the white ball captain.
Well, I think he said he was a T20 he was going to
T20,
get,
yeah.
and they basically said, sure, cool, that means one ODIs as well. And he's like, well, hold on, I didn't say that.
So Rohit Sharma got given the white ball.
Well, yes.
They said let's amalgamate the white ball captaincy. Virat can still have the red ball. Obviously it's been all over, cricketing news over the last few years. Hasn't made 100 since 2019 in Test cricket. As welcomed a baby, maybe there's some things that are more important.
Yeah, well, family man doesn't want to travel. Well, traveling now as well in the COVID world, doing all the various quarantines, etc.
Yes.
More time away from family, etc. So,
and we did see Rahul Dravid take over as coach over Ravi Shastri.
Yep.
Maybe some kind of rubbing
the
wrong way.
I think,
there.
again, shout out to Ricken for some intel there. Maybe a bit of politics at play, because my understanding
Politics in cricket?
Yeah.
I won't hear it. I won't hear it.
Because my understanding,
Breaking news, Mark McGowan is the coach of the Indian cricket team.
Because I think Dravid took over the under-19 squad and basically rebuilt the system, and they won the World Cup. So essentially, they're trying. It sounds like they're trying to hand the keys over to Dravid, and I want to use the.
Well, I think they have the keys are there.
Yeah, well, I want to use
the keys are in the ignition.
The a WWF reference here, the Attitude Era. It's
are we talking World Wrestling?
Yes.
Yeah, the Undertaker and shit.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So going back the attitude, the era of aggression for maybe not the direction that Dravid wants to take for the new look of what the English team is going to be. So
English or Indian?
Indian.
Yes, the Indian team.
You said English.
Did I? Oh, sorry, I meant the Indian. I said the Indian.
I suppose if you go far enough back.
Oh, that's a bit bad.
No, but it is interesting because as characters, polar opposites.
Exactly.
Polar opposites.
Played in different Indian cricket eras as well.
Rahul Dravid always, kind of softly spoken, very, polite. The Wall, and both excellent cricketers. Whereas you've got Kohli, this, hot-headed, fiery, passionate, heart on his sleeve kind of guy. Yeah, maybe you could see a little bit of a clash in character.
Philosophy there,
yeah, philosophy for sure.
So
but we are also talking about the most winningest captain in Indian history. Took India from being a good cricket team to being arguably the best cricket team in the world.
Well, I think they were ranked 6 or 7 at one point when he took over.
I think they were 7th when he took over, and then he took over, started scoring bulk runs. They came down here and won a series for the first time in fucking donkey's years. They never got that. The big tournament silverware. We saw them miss out in T20 World Cups. We saw them miss out in the ODI World Cup. We saw them miss out in the World Test Championship. But an elite cricket side, and essentially under Kohli, unbeatable in India.
Oh, definitely, and competitive everywhere else as well. So
and that's the big thing. That's what we were talking about before.
When
Australia goes to England, they're competitive. That we don't go anywhere, and you get the pants pulled down. There we go. We've got Virat Kohli up there. So since the start of Test cricket, Steve Waugh. Geez, we were spoiled as kids, weren't we? Just
Steve Waugh, followed by Ricky Ponting.
Steve Waugh. Well, then Don Bradman in there as well. The top 3.
Well, I didn't think Don Bradman flowed into Steve Waugh, is my point. As Steve Waugh flowed into Ricky Ponting.
I'm with you. Anyways, we are talking about winning percentage in Test match cricket. Steve Waugh up there at 71, followed by Bradman and Ponting in
I think it's roughly
the low 60s, about 62, 63%, and Virat Kohli, the most winningest captain that's not an Australian of all time, pushing 60% of Test matches.
Yeah, I think he was 70-ish Test match, sort of like 74 for like 41 or 42 victories. So a great conversion rate there, and really kind of built that team, that picture, that culture there. But by all accounts, it's looking like it maybe not meshing with whatever the future is that holds for the Indian team. Maybe there was some other stuff that happened there in regards to some of the South Africa stuff, and whether there was some other chat going on. Unlikely. It seems like it's more BCCI and the politics, as we mentioned before, in the background.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because
changing of the guard a little bit.
India doesn't win in South Africa. No one wins in fucking South Africa.
Yeah.
And they went there as red hot favourites, and it's like this big disappointment that they lost in South Africa 2-1, and the third test was quite closely contested.
Well, I think that's India's first win in South Africa in quite a while as well. I think they were like 1-8 from at least their last 2 tours down there. Or 3,
and it's a disappointment. That's the India that we've come to now, where because of Kohli and the team that they built with Ravi Shastri, you expect them to go and win away tours. So, look, as much as Australians and you love to hate Kohli, you have to respect what he's done for Indian cricket. The personal accolades. Look, to be honest, I'll miss as an Australian cricket fan. I'll miss Australia playing against a Kohli-led India.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So we'll get into this in a section into the transition, who they're going to actually replace him with, because there hasn't been an announcement on that. No, let's do that. I've forgotten the point I was going to make, so that's it's getting late. I was just like, let's say, it doesn't matter.
Remember that? You remember that Homer Simpson monkey with the symbols?
Yeah, that's my brain occasionally.
I think it goes past that, to be honest. I don't think the monkey ever drops the symbols, reads a book, writes some poetry.
Sorry, I do remember. So Virat Kohli's still going to be in the squad.
Of course.
So he's still probably got another 3 or 4 years easy in Test cricket. He's only early 30s, I think, from memory.
He's 34, I think, is he?
Yeah. So
34?
I was born 1988.
Quick maths, he turns 34 this year. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
So he's currently 33. He could have 4 years left in him.
Exactly.
But we always talk about the Indian depth as well. And if you haven't made a ton, it doesn't matter if you're Virat Kohli or fucking Sachin Tendulkar. If you haven't made runs for 2 years and you've got that much depth, all these guys trying to bust into the side, Could this be the end of the Kohli?
Yeah, he's
era?
kind of getting Rahani'd here, like, as in like he's getting a
Is
couple,
he
of,
get- yeah,
getting
yeah.
some
Is he getting
hamstrings.
Rahani'd?
Yeah, this like we'll try to be nice to him and slowly move him out of the squad, but I don't think you can just give up on Kohli.
Surely not.
No,
Well, are they doing it to sort of, I guess, relieve a little bit of the pressure of
Yeah,
being
mate.
the captain?
Yeah,
maybe you haven't hit any tons. Just it's good for him because like, whether he was again pushed or whether he made this decision is like I can see the writing on the wall. I'm going to do it because it's also could be a big fuck you where he goes, hey, I'm not going to do all the media. I don't need to do any of that press. I don't need the face for it. I don't need all that other shit that I need to do as Kohli. I'm just going to be the batsman, score tons, and then spend more time with family. Like that might be his better outcome.
It's funny though because some guys, the Australians that come to mind, relish.
Oh,
the
some of
captains-
them love it.
The captaincy, Steve Smith, Michael Clark.
Yeah.
Their batting averages. I think Ponting the same.
Yeah.
When they became captains, their batting averages just went.
Well, it did originally for Kohli as well. Like same thing, got
True,
in there as
true.
the captain, and he really led that team from the front. So whether he just needs to refine his form or whether they're worried about his form,
Yeah,
I don't know. But
I think also like India's a magnitude further than Australia. Like
Isn't
if
it?
you're
Yeah.
the captain or if you're Kohli, like you're not just the captain of the Indian cricket team. You are an icon.
You're,
On and
you're
off
the biggest
field.
superstar in
well,
India.
you're a leader of 1/6 of the Earth's people,
yeah.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
And no offense, Narendra Modi, but Virat
Kohli's where it's at.
Virat Kohli is the president of India right now. No offense, mate. Can you look up the population of Uttar Pradesh? So that is a state in India, and a little bit of population chat as we like to do here on the Esky.
Some more geography.
Yeah, some geography. I think in the realm of 200 million. Like if it was a sovereign state, it might be the 5th or 6th biggest country in the world in terms of people. The weight and the pressure of leading that nation must be crazy. Must be crazy.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I talk about the head noise when I go out and play Sunday social cricket, park cricket on the weekend. You want to make runs. Oh, God, I haven't made runs for 3 games. I want the boys, to see me score, 40 in
Don't let the boys down. You
a
gotta-
park cricket setting. Imagine having the weight of 1.3 billion people on you. What is the population of Uttar Pradesh?
204.2 million.
And that's a 2012
That's
estimate.
2012. Yeah.
So I guarantee you it's a bit more these days.
yeah, triple that.
It's triple. Oh, then we get busy in Uttar. But
There's
yeah.
nothing else to do during COVID time, so yeah.
And that's been evidenced by all of our friends, isn't it? Welcoming a few babies this year, 2022. Let's go. Look, in summation, the Kohli era, as Australians love to hate him, he was fiery. He beat us down here. They didn't take any stick. Look, I will, and it pains me to say it, I will miss seeing Kohli lead India.
Yep.
Going forward, boys, who replaces him? Because it's not cut and dry. This is not
it's-
an immediate succession. There's
and
a few names in the hat, if you will, in the
Exactly.
proverbial
And it
hat.
depends on what they want to do, maybe for the next year or two as well.
Interim, like a changeover.
Yeah,
And who
exactly.
would make most sense
Yeah.
out of that? Rohit Sharma, I guess. If you wanted someone to take it for a year or two,
Yep.
Rohit makes sense. He's 34. He's older than Kohli.
Yeah, then the captain
Current-
across all formats.
All formats. He's the current white ball captain.
Do you want to scroll down there a little bit, Jimmy?
Yep.
The thing is with Rohit Sharma, we just saw him score his first ton away from India. Obviously one of the most accomplished, one-day players of all time, but hasn't been consistently in this test side. He's currently injured. Can you give it to a guy that hasn't been consistently in your test side, until the last kind of 18 months? He was kind of a horses for courses. He was a play in India and rest him overseas kind of guy.
Yeah. Hard to say. I just want to say blanket statement. We've ruled out Rahane as well. We think his time in the Indian squad's done.
Yep. Shout out to Jinka. Made runs in Australia, but yeah, I think he'll be lucky to play more Test cricket.
Yeah. So we've got 5 options there. We started with Sharma. Rahul's there. He's current vice captain, 29. He's the vice captain in the ODIs and the T20. I think he captained one of the South African games.
Yes, he has.
Then you got the young fella in Pant, their keeper, of course. The Cummins route, go with Bumrah. Also only 28, so a bit of a smoky there, but a bowler. And then I threw Ashwin there as the last one, as the old head, but also someone that potentially could maintain the Kohli kind of aggressive era.
I'm going to nip that one in the bud. I don't think there's any chance that Ravi Ashwin captains India at a test level. He's hard. He's like a 50-50 guy as well. Like, you can't take away from his accomplishments. I don't think he's going to be the test captain of India anytime soon.
I pretend. So my thinking.
Can you try and get some odds on this?
Yeah, and and Rickens, I think the one that got me onto Ashwin as well, and he's thinking Bumrah too. They're his options. I think Ashwin makes sense for a year or two. Four part. So that's why I'd say it goes. Okay. I think long term, it's looking likely that if he keeps his form and he kind of locked down the wicketkeeper spot, if he can keep up with the runs, and he's doing not too bad currently in this.
Well, he made half their runs in that third test.
Yeah, so like at 26. That makes more sense, I think, to me.
He's 24. We speak about Cam Green and how young he is. He's 2 years older.
But I don't think you make a 24-year-old as the Indian captain, is what we say. So get him in the squad for, he'd be 3 years in the squad by that point. As the interim, Ashwin could be there to continue the current kind of era as it kind of transitions into the new whatever driver wants it to look like, maybe. But I think Bumrah a bit of a smoky.
Yeah. Do they follow suit? Like you mentioned, Pat Cummins, we were talking about it, 2 months ago? We were saying...
Historically, I think it's going to be very, very difficult, and Australia kind of were forced into it a little bit with Tim Payne having to get booted.
It's sandpaper gate. Steve Smith would have been our captain.
It wouldn't surprise me if Rahul's the favourite.
KL Rahul in the interim, at least, makes the most sense.
Yes,
going forward.
Following the history of cricket,
I like Bumrah as a smoky, and I like Pant going forward. Yep. Yes. Rohit Sharma, to me, do they what do they call it when you get all the belts in fucking unify? Yep. Maybe he's going to be the
undisputed
captain of India. But yeah, for a guy that's kind of in and out, has only been a staple over the last few years, and that's older than Virat Kohli, I don't really get it unless it is like a caretaker handing over of the guard. If I had to rank these guys, I'd have Ashwin out of there. I don't think Ashwin will be the Test captain of India. Mm-hmm. I think KL Rahul makes the most sense. If we're talking about the next Test, I think KL Rahul makes the most sense. Then I'll go Sharma. Bumrah as my smoky, and Pant a few years off.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say. And again, as an Australian, hate to see India beating us, but Pant is a legitimate freak. Again, that deck in Cape Town, Kohli didn't like it. Big Marco Jansen, it was all coming up at him real quick. Didn't like any of it. And Pant just goes out there and just goes, oh yeah, you know what? It's not that fucking hard out here. Bang, 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 taking it back to the back to the bowlers, and gave India a chance in that Test match. If it wasn't for him, that it would have been a really disappointing result. I love Pant. We have seen him captain in the IPL. I don't see him being the leader of India tomorrow.
No,
in cricket or in
Okay, I think. If you look at the current side, it is still pretty young. So, we haven't talked to. There's heaps of young guys that come in and out of the squad as well. That
they could pick 4 Test sides that would be competitive. Yeah. That is the state of depth of Indian cricket at the moment.
But if you look at those sides, you're probably consistent. Bumrah's always going to get picked in those sides. Pant's probably always going to be your wicketkeeper in those sides.
Going forward,
they're the guys that you're like, hey, I want to keep them in there.
Get at us in the comments. Any fans of Indian cricket, any cricket lovers, let us know who you think will captain India.
What's interesting on this is none of those 5 scare me like what Virat Kohli would be as a captain.
Well, we're used to him being so fiery and getting away with everything. Didn't get in trouble for yelling at the mics. BCCI was in charge of that. They let it go.
He already quit, so it's
go through the keeper. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but they will miss the Kohli era. May go down, as one of the great Indian eras going forward. We always speak about it.
I don't want to see Indian cricket go backwards. It's probably
it's not going to. It's not going to. That you could make fucking anyone the captain of India, and they're gonna be strong.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Not hopefully. I think they will be, and it pains me to say that. They did just lose the first ODI over there in South Africa. Temba Bavuma and Rassie van der Dussen both turned up, got South Africa home. We are currently watching the second ODI. Quinton de Kock back in there announced his retirement from Test cricket. He's behind the stumps. India 2 for 110 after 20 overs at the moment. KL Rahul looking pretty good with Rishabh Pant, two of the men that we were just talking about taking over the red ball captaincy.
Yeah, we're worried about them. They had a bit of a collapse there. Lost, I think, 2 for about 10.
That's not a collapse. That's not a collapse.
Well, these two have steadied the ship, essentially. If they kept rolling, it's a collapse, but these two have
Where does
steadied.
the collapse start? Collapse has to be 4, I think.
Yeah,
Two, you're worried. 3, you're like, oh, fuck. And then 4, you're like, collapse.
Yeah.
Collapse.
Yep.
Or if you're England, in Hobart, 10 for 58. That's the next level. That's capitulation.
I was going to say, is it more to do with how many runs are in between each wicket, or?
Well, you'd think so, yeah. You'd think so. If you lost 2 for 400, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's bring it back home, boys. The Big Bash, we had been talking about it last week. It had been I don't want to say snoozy, but it had been clashing with the Ashes. There was games scheduled at the same time.
The finals have creeped up on us.
The Australian cricket team was playing. There were COVID issues, There were guys essentially that, you'd look at the teams and you'd might know 3 or 4 guys in some of those games.
Well, there was whole teams wiped out and they're getting guys off fishing boats. It's like, hey,
Call them up.
Call them up.
Sunday social. P in. Fill in. Can you fill in this weekend? That was the Big Bash.
Yeah.
Tell you what, wasn't it fucking this week, was it? Glenn Maxwell, the big show. I was at the in-laws Wednesday night. Having dinner, yeah. Do you want to chuck the cricket on? Yep, let's chuck it on.
Yeah, a bit of background noise, and then you're just like, holy shit.
I was like, is that right? Maxwell has 100 and there's 6 overs left in this innings. The previous Big Bash record for an innings, I was at this game actually. It was Renegades and Hurricanes under the roof at Etihad Stadium, Marvel Stadium they call it these days. 224, I believe, 224. Ben McDermott made a ton in that one, a famous chase by the Hobart Hurricanes. 274 for 2, if you don't mind. Maxi 150 off 60 odd. Stoyan had a quick fire 70. Both of them striking at nearly 3 runs a ball. Absolutely ridiculous scenes there for the Melbourne Stars. And they're not going to be in the finals, which is a real disappointment. But yeah, one of the all-time batting displays ever.
Big time.
Just not in Big Bash, obviously, by far smashed the old Big Bash record, but one of the best showings in T20 cricket ever.
Oh, definitely. Like 150
274
from 60. It was like,
It's a good 50 over score.
it's fucked.
Fucked is one way to put it.
Well, what did Maxwell say at the change of innings? What was his quote?
Not aware.
We might. Well, they're not going to get that. We might as well go to the pub. So
I would be, if I was opening the batting there for the guys going up against it, I would have just been saying, "Yep, see ya. I'll see you there. I'll have a pint of Carlton Dry, thanks."
you just go out and have a slash, and if you get out in 5 overs, you're like, "Well, we had to score."
Who the fuck are you going to chase 270?
Yeah, we have to score 75 odd in this first one. Yeah, it's crazy.
Ridiculous scenes. We have the finals coming up in the Big Bash, so. Again, we've got to try and get our heads around the eliminator.
Do you have the bracket there, James? Can you find that for us?
I think off the top of the head, 4 and 5 play first.
I believe the Hurricanes are playing tonight, and they've kind of fallen in a heap from reporters on the sideline.
Is that 4 and 5? Yes, it is. Strikers Hurricanes. So that's a knockout. That's happening right now. Sorry, we have about 3 different games going on in front of us here. And then Scorchers Sixers. That's
the big one.
That's 1-2, and then the winner goes straight through to the final.
Correct.
And then Thunder in third will get the team that comes through there. Mm-hmm. So Scorchers, no games in Perth. They're going to have to do it away from home. Poor things. Scorchers and Sixers, we've seen both those 2 teams do very, very well. Scorchers, the most winningest franchise in the Big Bash, and the Sixers coming off 2 in a row. We ain't went nowhere.
So what do you think about the Sixers put in a request to have Steve Smith join the squad because no one-day internationals, as we mentioned a minute ago, that he's available, essentially. I'm available to play cricket. But I think everyone remaining in the tournament put in a vetoes. It's like, fuck no.
They're playing Halo, and they didn't want to play that map, and they vetoed it. Veto Belfort. Yeah, look, Smudge, have a break. Have a break. We saw Labuschagne going out for the heat. Have a break, you cricket lovers. They love it. They love it so much. They couldn't think of anything better to do. Oh, spend time with my family. Oh, boring. Oh, play golf. Boring.
I'm actually
sit and watch Netflix. Boring. They want to play cricket. That's what they want to do.
I'm actually surprised that Cricket Australia kind of rubber stamped this. Of course, the rest of the league said, "Nah, no way," because it gives them a significant advantage. You want a guy like Steve Smith's capability coming in. But I think for a Big Bash league that's been super quiet this year because of the Ashes and no one's really paying, adding someone like Steve Smith really elevates this contest. So it's like,
well, it's funny how some of the cricket, like Khawaja was back, 2 nights after Hobart. He was back playing for the Thunder.
I think a lot of them have in the Australian squad can slide straight back into Big Bash league. But Steve Smith, no.
Interesting. We'll follow the Big Bash League finals. Can
you get us a score in the Hurricanes game?
It probably has played a little bit of second fiddle, let's be honest. Whoever's idea it was to schedule Big Bash games at the same time that Test cricket was on, not sure if that's the go-to move, but it's kind of the way they're going. They kind of want cricket to be this NBA baseball kind of American model where you can turn the TV on and there's games on.
Yes, yeah. But like you say, maybe you needed to book those around or do them earlier.
They did a few. I like those on the day-night ones when there was a midday game and you're like, sure, yeah, I'll cop this. Yeah. When England are capitulating on Sunday night and they're going, Glenn Maxwell just took this mad catch. If you want to jump over to 7, mate, I'm like, nah, I'm pretty good here, thanks. Let's keep going. Let's keep watching this.
Yeah, the marketing around it's maybe need to be worked out a little bit better, but hey, cricket's cricket. Any
cricket's good cricket. Let's put it that way.
Did you get the score?
So the strikers made that's a big score. 6 for 188. Can you chase up a scorecard there? The Hurricanes currently chasing them 1 for 10. McDermott out. McDermott out.
Big out for the Hurricanes.
Yep.
Who made runs for the strikers?
So
Carey's back. Speaking of Australian cricketers, 67 opening the bat and 89 for Matt Short. He's had a
Steve Smith's going to be like, what's this bullshit? The rest of them are playing.
Pretty good series.
But I can't.
Travis Head didn't get amongst the runs.
Did Carey lead Big Bash League in runs last year?
No, it was
Philippi.
I think it was Philippi.
I think it was Philippi, McDermott, Carey.
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah,
he was in the top 3.
I think so. Yeah.
So he can get a gig, but Steve Smith, no.
Have a rest.
So
I think it's bullshit. I'm Steve Smith. I'm like, what is this bullshit?
Of all the test team players, so Lions back in BBL, Travis Head, Carey, obviously, 2 we just mentioned.
Yep.
Boland and Jai Richardson are all back playing for their teams.
And we talked about
Scobo. Is there anything he can't do? He's running for Prime Minister next week. I'm voting for him.
Finishes up with a cricket.
Under 19 World Cup is on at the moment. I don't know how much of a cricketing tragic you guys were back in the day. I used to have, envision myself playing an under 19s tournament. So I used to have the scoreboard, bowling to myself in the backyard.
Back when we thought we had talent.
Yeah. I didn't even really think of that in those days, but like a dream. I had myself, playing along the likes of the sons of 90s cricketers.
Yep.
Anyways, didn't eventuate. That's why we're here drinking beers, talking about cricket. Australia, we're getting out of the group. We did lose to Sri Lanka, but had wins against the West Indies, the host nation, and Scotland. Have you guys seen this bloke? And forgive me if I don't get it right, but I'm going to have a good crack. Nivathan Radhakrishnan. He can bowl right arm offies and he can bowl left arm orthodox, and
impressive.
He changes it. He changes it mid over. Absolute scenes. If he does go on to play professional cricket, he'll be the first ambidextrous bowler.
Does it change at mid run up, or is the run up the same, or is it different?
No, and I think you have. I don't know.
Does he have to declare what he's?
I believe so. But
the batsman can't declare I'm hitting it right hand or left hand, like switch hitting.
I think I do remember hearing a story about him during the week, and I think it might have been Warner who switch hitters all the time. It was like
Maxwell.
Yeah.
Why does he have to do it?
Why can't this kid do it? Yeah. If you've worked out the cheat code, then hats off to you. I'd love to see him go further with his cricket.
Definitely.
Be nice to see some names to watch, at least on an Australian perspective. Teague Wiley, 86 not against the Windies. Didn't make runs against Sri Lanka, and then 101 not against Scotland. So his tournament average at present is close to 200. Tom Whitney, right arm quick, was very good as well against the Windies and Sri Lanka. No relation. We were speaking about Mike Whitney last week, the former host of Gladiator. Are you ready? Challenger, are you ready? No relation, I don't believe. And the skipper, Cooper Connolly, I just have him in here. Hasn't made any runs this tournament yet, but he's captaining Australia at an under-19s level. Have women's Ashes to look forward to. Obviously, no ODIs going forward against New Zealand.
Yep.
I suppose, we'll keep an eye on India and Pakistan and the Big Bash and, the result of this under-19 and women's Ashes going forward. But it's the summer of cricket's wrapping up a bit early.
Real quickly, I just want to touch on women's Ashes as well. I saw that Elise Perry was not named in the team for the first time.
Omitted?
Yes.
No injury?
Yeah.
That's very surprising because obviously Elise has been essentially one of the best female cricketers in the world recently. There was a McGrath, Talia McGrath?
Yes.
That I think did very well last night with both bat and ball. But yeah, good to see the girls going at it. And yeah, hopefully just brings a little bit more exposure to the women's game.
Yes. And I think that's cricket for tonight.
It's a lot of cricket. Thank you to anyone that stayed with us for the cricketing hour there.
A lot's been happening in the cricket world.
Can you run us into the NFL?
Well, before we do, a quick update on the Australian Open because Ash Barty, for all our Australian fans, had just finished up. She won straight sets, dropped 5 games in that one.
Oh, 5 games.
To add to her, previous 3?
She's lost 3 games in the first 2 matches. She's a freak. She's the number 1 seed even. She's the number 1 seed as well, if you will.
And her potential opponent for the next match,
Naomi Osaka,
is on match point currently.
Match point, yeah.
She
but gone to 3 sets.
3 sets,
yeah. Bit of a war there.
Hopefully it's taken it all out of her, Naomi Osaka. That's a big match up there.
Oh, big time.
Coming up between...
To get it, is that the round? Is that 4th round or a round of 16 for them?
No, it's 4th round, I believe.
4th round, yeah. To get like a grand final, final preview in the 4th round, that's not too bad. You'd happily take that.
Do we know why Osaka's seeded so low?
Hasn't been playing tennis.
Mental health break.
Yeah. She had the break, hasn't played a lot of the tournaments, so she's dropped down last year.
We will talk a little bit of tennis later in the show. Obviously, big tennis aficionados.
Well, we're big Australian Open aficionados, I think is the answer.
Love it 2 weeks a year.
Yes. Yeah.
NFL
chat.
You guys start us off. I'm going to say hello in French, oui, and I'll be back.
Not bad. I'll pay that. So we talked all about head coaches and GMs last week.
Yep.
No news to report. I said we might have had maybe 1 or 2 GMs.
Might have thought we'd see some movements, some hirings, but I suppose it's still pretty early on in terms of the season hasn't really ended yet. Assuming we'll wait and see what happens maybe even this week and then...
Yeah, well, I think... all the teams currently in the playoffs, they can't interview currently until they get knocked out or after the Super Bowl, depending if they make it all the way.
And I'm assuming a lot of those coaches, coordinators would be the ones that people would want to be interviewing for head coaching positions.
Definitely potential. It's interesting, a lot of the head coaching interviews happening, like a lot of teams are already interviewing bulk, like they've got double-digit guys on the interviews list, so there's a lot of interviews are happening. And some, like, say, the Packers and Titans, they've got guys that they're on the bye week, so they were allowed to do interviews in that time frame. But doesn't matter. No news. No new GMs, no new head coaches. Lots of interviews happening, but nothing official yet.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait until that happens. So I guess we'll go straight.
Well, I suppose the news, the only rumor mill, I guess I'd call it, which leads into the first wildcard game we'll talk about, is Jim Harbaugh said that he would be open to taking up the head coaching position at the Raiders.
I think Jim's basically said any head coaching gig that can get me back to the Super Bowl, he wants to win a Super Bowl. Anyone that can get me back there, I'll take it. And the Raiders have got a decent squad they played in the playoffs, so potentially that could be a an opening there, but they also just interviewed the interim. What's his name? Rich something or other. I've forgotten the Raiders.
Italian.
You should know this person.
I should know everyone that's of Italian origin in the world.
Their whole family.
Familia.
But yeah, like he potentially could take that role. So hard to say. But anyway,
Rich Basia? Biasia?
Starts with a B.
Bisaccia.
Bisaccia?
There you go.
There's a B there.
Yeah.
Pronounce it B. Sorry, also
Silent
back
B.
on the Raiders.
It's a silent B.
It is. They
Is it like the two L's and Lloyd? One of them silent.
Lloyd. What do you have there first, Monkey?
So yeah, just wrapping up on the Raiders. They fired GM Mike Mayock this week as well.
I did see that, and I wasn't 100% sure why. Like he'd had he been doing a decent enough job, I would have thought. I guess a lot of their draft, they've had some issues where they've had to get rid of guys from draftees, but no fault through what Mike Mayock was doing. Fault from their own for driving cars fast and pointing guns at phones.
And emails getting leaked.
That was the coach. There's slightly different than the players that he's directly responsible for.
Yeah.
So it's a bit tough there. I wonder if he'll go straight back to NFL Network or not. But yeah, I think they offered him a huge deal, paired him with Gruden. Gruden kind of had his own thing, but I think Mayock was not doing a terrible job there. They went to the playoffs, like they were adding talent.
Yeah,
it's just some of the talent ended up being,
interesting move. Maybe they are just cleaning out head office just because of Gruden, but very weird. Very weird.
I don't know. It kind of puts them back as well because then they got to pick a GM.
Yeah.
And then before go head coach. So,
full rebuild. Full clean out.
Yeah. Tough.
Did you cover everything you wanted to talk about the Bengals? Or?
No, we haven't even got into the football.
This was leading into the game.
Yeah, leading into the game. So we said there was no head coaching and GM news and then talked about it for 5 minutes. So
talk about nothing. That's what we do here on the Esky. So Bengals Raiders.
Yeah. Wildcard weekend.
Super wildcard weekend. Super. Yeah,
there's a couple
and
extras.
there's like Super Mario. Yeah. What's something that Mario says? Let's go. Taught Tom Brady everything he knows.
It's a me.
It's a me, Tom Brady. All right, let's go. Bengals Raiders. We saw a lot of blowouts in Super Wildcard weekend.
Yeah.
This game was not one of them. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the old LSU boys, they were very, very good.
And the Bengals actually did run the score out a bit early, and then Raiders
came back.
They fought back into this and
great
got
last
back
drive, wasn't it?
Yes.
That roughing the passer call was one of the softest things I think I've ever seen in any sport.
Yeah, well, they hate hands
Brady.
around the head, so...
Are you justifying it?
No.
No, I understand
Definitely
I understand why they call the hands around the head, like they just...
But it wasn't a head. He went to bat down the ball.
Yeah, but he touched his head. You can't touch the head area.
Come on, man.
I think it was a shit call.
It was a shit
It's a
call.
horrible call.
But the precedent...
Imagine if they won off the back of that.
Yeah, but the precedent they set throughout the year of like you touch a quarterback's head, you're getting penalised. So it's not like it wasn't inconsistent.
Precedents or not, I highly disagree.
Yeah.
I think that was really, really soft. Look that up. Yeah. Roughing the passer, Bengals Raiders. If you missed
playoff football should be different to regular season football generally.
That
so
should
let
not be a
it
penalty in any...
Oh, in the regular season, they call them that all the
in
time, unfortunately.
The solar system. I don't know if they do it different in the Alpha Centauri.
Either way, the ref...
solar system.
Either way, the reffing
playing a whole other
crew did get the sack.
Gravity.
So they won't ref any more games in the playoffs. So
good.
That crew's
we
done
did
for
also
the year.
have the whistle gate where Joe Burrow rolled out right. His right foot was very close to that right sideline. Threw the ball. The whistle clearly went as he was releasing it and was caught for a touchdown.
We used to love the inverted whistle. So
yeah, inadvertent whistle. That one's pretty bad. What?
It was usually the big blokes trying to run down the sideline with a whistle in their mouth.
That's right. Sucking the big one, blowing. Anyways, wild scenes in Cincinnati. Their first playoff win since 1991. We spoke last week that no one had
sent
a text message. I'm sure there was some text sent there in Southern Ohio over the weekend. Good on them. Celebrating like they've won the Super Bowl. We'll see how they go this week. Big matchup against the Titans, which we'll get stuck into in just a second. One of the Raiders, we did speak about their turbulent year. Just to be there was a big achievement.
Yeah,
Huge.
Exactly. Big props to Derek Carr for essentially leading that team. Now, considering the rest of the leadership's all gone, it'll be interesting to see what they look like next year.
Did you hear that apparently Derek Carr and John Gruden had bought houses next to each other?
Yeah, they live next to each other. Like, he talks to Gruden on the daily.
Yep.
He would. He former head coach and, your neighbour,
Anyways,
shit happens.
speaking about getting it horribly wrong, we got it horribly wrong.
What were we?
Bills and Patriots.
What were we thinking?
I think we were right. It's just we put a curse on them.
Yeah,
like we got everything right. The weather was shit. They needed to run the ball.
Yep,
There was
got
no
that right.
there was
Yeah,
no
wrong
snow
team.
though. There was
Yeah,
no
wrong
snow.
team.
It
Got
didn't snow. It was probably the thing we missed the most. But yeah, we put a huge curse on them, and the Bills came out and absolutely fucking
Huge.
the
Womped them.
Patriots,
It was
so.
27-zip at halftime. We saw
no win.
Micah Hyde.
it was a little bit windy.
Blowing a little bit.
Yeah.
Micah Hyde had that nice pick to get them going. I think they were already 14-0 up.
I turned it on and saw that it was freezing cold and no snow, and I was like, "Oh, the Pats might be fucked here."
and
This is what happened.
Full credit to Josh Allen. He
Killed it.
was mental. 21 and 25, 308 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 intercepts. I think they scored on their first 5 possessions, I think, for the whole first half.
I don't
and
think
then
they punted in this game.
Yeah, ridiculous. And they did what we said we didn't think they could do, and they pounded the rock. Devin Singletary had 16 carries for 81 yards. 2
We did say
touchdowns.
Singletary's had a better
Josh
month,
Allen,
like a month later.
We did say that.
Hey,
We
he's
did say that.
continuing to learn it, so maybe not sleep on him too much, really leading into the remaining of the playoff games.
What
But,
about the poor Patriots playing against all of America? It seemed, from what I could see on social media, everyone was
not
putting-
again.
was in the Bills Mafia on that night. Congrats to Mac Jones getting there, as a rookie quarterback. Bill Belichick and that defense obviously pretty stout. Mac Jones, I think we've spoken about it on the Esky in previous episodes, how he hadn't seen snow till about 5 years ago. I did see a video of him. He's meant to be listening to, McDaniel's on the offensive play call.
He's playing with his breath,
and he's looking at his breath. He's looking at his breath.
He's
going,
listening. He's listening, and then he notices it. And he's like, "Oh,
that's not normal." Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
good stuff.
Like the chili bowls in college, maybe.
So just on that, Buffalo did not punt, and they did not have to attempt a field goal.
Yeah, there's no turnovers from them at all in the entire
So
game.
it's just touchdowns. So, what's that? Nine touchdowns.
Yep. They dominated Pillow.
No, they kicked one at the end. I'm pretty sure. Did they kick a field goal at the end? 0. No,
Tyler was 0 from 0.
You missed 2 extra points.
Yeah, there you go.
49. That's there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, 7 sevens. Quick maths on the Esky here. Buffalo 49ers. Let's go. As opposed to just down the road, the Orchard Park 69ers. Bucks Eagles, the first of the Sunday games. Amongst your Buccaneers, they made pretty light work of the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe it was 31-0 at one stage, wasn't it? So a few consolation points there in the fourth quarter. Pretty solid showing there from Brady and co. Without a lot of weapons, obviously no Leonard Fournette, no Chris Godwin, no AB, obviously.
No AB.
Thoughts? They look pretty good.
They did look pretty good. It was sort of, it was the Eagles, kind of reminds me of that meme, that dog doing the science experiments saying, what am I doing here, sort of thing.
Much like us podcasting.
Yep, much like us here.
Lost.
Just stumbling.
That's right. Check the collar. Do you need to go home, boy? Do you need to go home? Where's your mummy and daddy?
Just stumbling through it.
Stumbling for sure.
Yeah. It was good to see Mike Evans in there, very productive.
Yeah, very good game out of
Very
him.
good game,
Gronk, pretty strong.
Run game.
That's it.
That's my question to you. What did the Bucks do in the run game? Did they get Bell more involved? Or is it Ronnie Jones now carrying the load?
No,
Ronnie Jones is out.
Yeah, it's Keyshawn Vaughn
Keyshawn
and
Vaughn.
Gio Bernard.
Vaughn
Yep.
from the previous draft to Ronnie Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming back into the fold. Very good.
That's it. Yeah. So, I guess to that, with all the injuries that they do have, with all the players that are out, very promising to see that they put away the Eagles as they did. Obviously, probably would have left, taking their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter, not scoring anything. I was surprised that Tom Brady was still in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, interesting.
A little bit
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
watching that, but made it through unscathed.
I think he's all right. He's been in the league for 1,000 years.
Yeah, I was going to say
And
1,400.
Yeah, and he's not the most sacked quarterback in the league. That's Ben Roethlisberger. They did a highlight reel of Ben's final game, and one of his key stats was most sacked quarterback in the league. So I think they did him a little bit dirty with that one.
That's not an accomplishment that you want.
Yeah, I think Tom Brady's played enough football games to know how to get through one and just to avoid significant injuries. It's been around long enough. So.
That's it. Yeah. Like I said, promising. I hope that it's not one of those situations where they put away the Eagles and think, oh yeah, we'll cruise through.
Big matchup this week.
Very big
Huge
matchup. We'll get to in a second. But yeah, good first game of the playoffs for them. But like I said, it was the Eagles. I can't really say too much about that.
A big upset.
Wasn't the biggest upset.
Yeah. We, again, Esky curse, all thought the Cowboys with that high-powered offense were going to get the job done at home.
I think the key we said in last week's one was we looked at their scores and it was like 50, so like 15, 50, 15. It's like, hey, which Cowboys are you going to get? They could put a 50 burger on you or they could score fuck all points. We probably should have thought about 49ers do play good defense.
Well, that run defense especially was really good.
Yeah, and
Fred Warner running around the middle
and Dak
like a maniac.
had been a little bit on and off. Just asked CD Lamb.
Missed him a couple of times.
Yeah, so that's what ended up being the case in this one.
And they did what we say you have to do in playoff football. They pounded the rock, Eli Mitchell, and running back / wide receiver extraordinaire Deebo Samuel. Very, very good.
What,
George
Cordell
Kittle.
Patterson?
Yeah, Cordell.
Another wide receiver.
The rich man's Cordell Patterson. George Kittle, they didn't need him. I had a few green ticks in my Punters Club multi this week. Parlay, they call it in the United States. I had Cowboys win, George Kittle over 40 yards. So that was red there. Boys, it was close towards the end. We saw the Cowboys get the ball back with 32 seconds to go.
It was
Hook and ladder, the old tugging on tornadoes.
it was interesting to see. I was unsure why Jimmy G was trying to throw the ball because he did throw that pick and ended up being a big turnover. I was like, ooh,
and then
maybe
those quarterback sneaks at the end as well stopped them twice from short yardage just to get that ball back.
Yep.
Going back, we saw the punter hit the mega screen. What do they call it? The biggest television in the world.
It's something Tron. I can't remember the exact name.
Megatron.
It's not Megatron. I knew that.
Optimus Prime.
No.
Bumblebee. Brian Anger, he hit that. There was some good bands, actually. Tony Romo and Jim Nance. They said, they'll just give him a mulligan. And then Nance said, you like to have that in your golf game. Tony Romo. Myself, big fan of the mulligan as well. Giving myself plenty, when you hook it, snap left, and then it goes off the toe and it goes about 150 to the right.
Yeah, it never helps.
No, it doesn't.
You might come off once or twice.
But maybe third or fourth time after a few mulligans, you go, why couldn't you do that the first time, you fucking moron?
It's so easy,
Just
isn't
like
it?
most things in your life. Just do it the first time. Cowboys, a lot made of this capitulation. We saw at the end they were driving. We spoke about that hook and ladder. And then that takes off. Did he slide too late? Did the referee get in the way?
That's right. Yeah.
It's 100% on the Cowboys. So,
what is that, 100?
No, 100%.
That ref slowed. He slowed things down by 2 or 3
So-
seconds.
It's 100% on Dak. So it's his fault.
He did go.
He gave it to the center. You got to give it to. You're taught everywhere. You got to give it to the nearest ref, and he's got to place the ball. So it's 100% on Dak. He's gone. No level of football tells you to give it to your center and snap it straight away because this is the reason why. I'd also say Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore calling slightly a designed QB run in that play for Dak to take off.
Yeah.
Not a great option, I think, either.
Well, wasn't it?
So-
He had to do that so they could just get like the first down. So
Yeah,
he was only supposed to get the first down and slide, but he ended up carrying
did
it
take
for
a bit
another-
Take a
longer.
little bit more. Take a little bit
But
more.
it was.
But it was going to be a Hail Mary chance anyway. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to shorten the field by 10 yards. His arm talent could go to the end zone from where they were.
Yeah, so I think you add all those things together, they, again, using that word, capitulated there at the end.
Was that conpitulated?
Yes, yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Condoleezza Rice pitulated.
It surmised their season pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
You got to
yeah.
give the ball to the line judge so he can put it on the
so
line.
so
he
much
can snap the ball.
so much potential there in the final drive. So much like it's doable for if anyone could do it. You'd think the Cowboys could do it.
Offense, yeah.
Well, people have found video of the Packers doing it during the year with same 14 seconds,
Packers
same
are
thing.
known for
Kevin getting up
doing
late,
it.
getting Rodgers down,
Bang,
spikes.
bang, bang.
3
Stop
seconds
that
left.
clock.
Like it's yeah.
Cowboys, one and done. That's the 7th time out of the last 10 playoffs.
Some interesting stats like Jake Delhomme,
Yep,
Brad
5
Johnson.
has 5 playoff wins.
Yeah, all more playoff wins than
Than
Dak or the Cowboys.
Well,
So
not past Dak. You know, that man Tony Romo we were talking about before, going before him.
you can't hold a snap for a field goal. So
Yeah, the poor Cowboys fans, you know, much like the Patriots, you know, everyone kind of rooting for them to lose in America. But look, I thought they had the better team on paper. I thought they should have won that game, and they capitulated. What about the Cowboys fans throwing rubbish at the players? It's disgusting, I think.
well, I think Trent Williams as well, given the finger to the Cowboys. But he's a former player, of course, playing on 49ers now. So
And what are you going to do? You're going to go push Trent Williams around?
no, not at
No,
all.
I choose life.
Yeah.
Throw back to the Ice Age, Sid. I choose life. Look, do you want to look at the positives for Cowboys this year? Dak stayed healthy, coming back after a horrible injury. Tony Pollard emerged. You know, they didn't do it well in this playoff game, but they were able to have, you know, that dual threat backfield. That offense is still young. They're only going to get better. And we saw Micah Parsons come along leaps and bounds. One of the best rookie seasons out of the linebacker.
Added some weapons
in
on
a
the
long
defense
time.
from when they didn't have weapons the year before. So
And Trayvon Diggs, an absolute ball hawk. So they're the positives, I suppose, for the Cowboys fans going forward. But yeah, it was a disappointing year, wasn't it?
yeah, not the way they wanted to end it, and probably not against 49ers, an old rival of theirs. So
That's
What do you
it.
get there, Mus?
Hate to kick them while they're down, but just back on the Cowboys fans are throwing rubbish and having words for the refs.
and players are throwing it at the players as well. So
Yeah, so I don't know what was said, but apparently Dak Prescott came out after the game sort of...
he got stuck into the refs.
Yeah, he didn't really... He commended the fans for what they did.
That's
Later retract that.
a bit rough.
Yeah, he's been fined. Like, I don't think he understood the extent of what happened to the refs.
I saw
but he
his
said-
Instagram and Twitter posts. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
it was the heat of the moment stuff. Ruddy rudder.
That's it, yeah.
Of course he was pissed.
Losing the playoffs, you'd be pissed, so...
Yeah, but it doesn't excuse that behaviour. That's moppery.
No.
That-
Well, that's it. Yeah.
They nearly were the mop of the week. You know,
I've seen some videos of like pre-game Cowboys fans, like at the start of the game and how excited they are, like music's pumping,
Yeah.
and then post-game and they're all just sitting
So-
down, just like what the fuck going on.
If
That's
you're
Cowboys
throwing-
fans. Fuck
If
them.
you're throwing rubbish at a professional athlete, you know what you need to do? Go down there and say, like they would in the 1920s, "Good sir, I challenge you to a duel. I believe I should be on this football team. If
Actually-
you're a fat, lazy piece of shit, you're not allowed to throw rubbish, whether it be verbal in a podcast or physical. It's moppery. It's absolute moppery. Fuck off."
Okay, to that, Bills fans and what they were throwing onto the football field. What do you think about that?
A Bildo Baggins is what we saw in the end zone.
So this is a repeat of
It's minus 14 degrees Celsius. You need to keep yourself warm, I suppose, however way you might do it. We are going back to the Buffalo Bills games where we saw a female sexual pleasure device thrown on the field in the end zone. Good throw to get in the
works for a boy or girl.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's not dwell too much on that. Look at that on the internet, if you will. Careful. Take safe search off. Chiefs Steelers, boys. This one went, I suppose, the way we expected. That Chiefs offense is pretty
Chiefs
good.
killed them early, and the Steelers did try to...
A little bit of consolation.
well, actually, so TJ Watt gets the intercept, I think, or as a fumble recovery and scores a touchdown. So the Steelers actually led this game. Chiefs then smoke them. I think there was 35-7 at one point, and then Steelers worked their way into it a little bit, scoring some late points. But yeah, Chiefs well ahead, killed them
Is this
throughout
Kansas
it.
City team reminiscent of the one that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago? They seem to be everything's
I don't
been
think
going in the right direction. They've got a lot of the same names. I
I don't think they're as good defensively.
Defensively,
I don't think they're as good as the team that won the Super Bowl defensively.
Okay.
So they've got Patrick Mahomes, and that offense is going to keep him in games.
Speaking of Patty Mahomes, have you got his numbers there? They're pretty handy.
Again, killed them.
Yeah, so 30 of 39 attempts through for 404. Yep.
That's half of
yards.
an 808. 808 and heartbreaks.
Yeah, this game for
5
me,
touchdowns, 1 pick.
this game for me is one of the reasons why you probably don't extend the wild card, because you get a team like the Steelers kind of sneak in here.
Yeah.
What were they, 9-7-1 or whatever?
I was going to say very similar sort of situation as the Eagles. What am I doing here? Sort of thing going on.
Again, much like us. Professional football team.
Yeah.
But yeah, better team won. Chiefs scary going forwards. Not too much more to add from that, I guess, other than looking forward.
Yeah, what's the news, Max?
News on Roethlisberger?
Haven't heard anything. I assume that was his last game in the NFL.
They've made it look like it was his last game in the NFL.
They did.
From all the things in the post game, like the interaction with him afterwards. Yeah, it looked very much like that was his last game of football.
And we did pay a bit of homage to Big Ben last week. With them having that nice win, to finish up a stellar career. Him kneeling out at Heinz Field to get the win against Cleveland, tears in his eyes, dual Super Bowl winner. Arguably, I suppose Terry Bradshaw might have something to say about it, but one of the best quarterbacks in Steelers history, future Hall of Famer. Shout out to Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep. So then the last game from the wild card weekend was the Rams taking on the Cards, and we thought this one might turn into a bit of a barn burner, but it ended up being the other way with
very one-sided.
Yeah, very one-sided, and the Cards offense just looking all sorts. Like they're just, for whatever reason.
Is that a function of them being a bit deficient, missing DeAndre Hopkins, or is credit where credit's due, that Rams defense, when you got the likes of Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and Von Miller coming in making plays?
It's probably a combination.
Leonard Floyd has had a breakout year.
Yeah, I'd say a combination of the two. Like, their defense is good, but they've been dreadful since Hopkins been out. They've won one game in the last 6, and I think they were like 8-3, and then 2-6 or some shit like that.
Too early.
Yeah, without Hopkins. So like without Hopkins,
there we go. It was there.
They definitely struggled.
What's it called if you never peak?
Underwhelming.
Disappointing.
Your marriage.
I don't know about my marriage, my life.
Rough.
My life. The one good thing I did was...
Sorry. I meant for your missus. She's just disappointed constantly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fair. Anyways, aside from my personal life, lots of storylines in this one. We saw Eric Weddle coming back his first game, nearly two years out of it. Von Miller, the first time he was in the playoffs since being a Super Bowl MVP. That speaks volumes about Denver, I suppose, more so than the Rams. OBJ, first playoff game as a Ram. Stafford to Beckham is a thing. And JJ Watt, how about this? This is probably my favourite of all these storylines. 10 weeks ago, he had a shoulder reconstruction. 2.5 months back in there. Didn't have a huge impact in the game.
Yeah, I think he got one sack, but he was double teamed the entire game, so he did his job.
Yeah. So. We're talking about a multiple defensive.
He had 3 tackles, 1 solo, no sacks.
No sacks.
Did he get a fumble recovery? He caused.
There was a tackle for a loss.
I think he caused the fumble that they recovered. I would have thought with him getting doubled that Chandler Jones might have had a bit of a better day. But
yeah, interesting this year. We spoke about it at the start of the year.
They couldn't cover anyone. I think was the biggest issue in this game. They doubled Cooper, a cup and this a lot, but then that opened up OBJ just to feast. So
Tyler Higbee was good. Van Jefferson was good. They've got all the weapons. You know what was good to see out of the Rams? Cam Akers back. Running like he
after an Achilles,
he just looks a step quicker than everyone else out there.
It helps not playing 17 games in a season, but
doesn't help tearing your Achilles before.
True. But his legs were fresh. Is my point.
I guess the way that he was cutting on a dime, throwing spin moves out there, trucking Buddha Baker. Buddha is okay. Good to see.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Wasn't it?
Well, Nick Bolsa was the other bad one, Bosa from the week. So he's also looking good and back at practice.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Rams win convincingly in SoFi Stadium. Boys, divisional round, 8 teams left. Some massive matchups coming back to our screens. We've got 2 here Sunday morning, our time, and 2 on Monday. So it works out well from a timing perspective. Monks, if you wouldn't mind getting some odds, please, for these 4 games upcoming this weekend. Titans and Packers have had a week off. So the Titans will play the Bengals at home. Derek Henry is practicing.
Back at practice.
He may play. Did suffer that Jones fracture, that 5th metatarsal fracture, half a season ago. If anyone,
the king.
If you are putting all your money into rehabilitating one person that can change a game, you'd put it into Derek Henry, the guy that's built like an outside linebacker and runs like a running back. The most dominant running back we've seen over the last few years. What is his status? What do we know? We are 48 hours away from the game. Maybe it will be something that gets announced at game time. But what do we know?
He's been back at practice, and he and the teams basically said, we'll see Saturday. They'll make a decision on Saturday.
He plays.
Game time.
That's my opinion.
It might depend on how the game's going. Like, hey, maybe he doesn't get his 40 carries in this game. Maybe they try to work his workload. But, I think they're going to need their biggest offensive weapon potentially to chase points against the Bengals.
Can the Bengals go and win this game? Because I tell you what, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, they're all looking very, very good offensively.
Again, another team that I'm not worried about them offensively. I'm worried about them defensively. Derek Henry back in that squad for the Titans could really change it in their favour. So I've picked Titans based on the King playing and them getting the win here. Probably in a close, hard-fought battle. So when I say close, hard-fought battle, I mean like lots of points. This could be 33-31 kind of game. But I like the Titans. Titans historically good this season against playoff teams. So they're in the playoffs now, and all that's left is playoff teams. So.
They've lost to some shit teams this year.
Yeah,
but
none of these are shitty teams of shit. So
no, that is true. That is true. I'm going to disagree. I think this is one of the harder ones to split this week. I'm going to go the Bengals. I love what this young offense is doing. The whole city behind them after years and years and years of heartbreak. I suppose the same could be said for Nashville and the state of Tennessee.
Yeah,
the mind goes back to that Super Bowl where they lost to the greatest show on turf by a yard.
Yeah.
But looking forward to this one. Could go either way. Hard to split them.
They went deep last year in the playoffs as well, and they just missed out too.
I'll go the Bengals. Whether or not the King plays may play a lot of influence into the result of this game. Monks, you've got a deciding vote. You have the power here.
And give us some odds too.
Mark McGowan, if you will. The power is in your hands.
Yep. I'm just quickly checking something.
And what is that, sir?
Derek Henry is not on the injury report anymore.
No, he's been practicing.
He's gonna play, I think.
Yeah, like it literally, he's practiced all week. If he doesn't swell up and has no pain,
if he can walk, he's playing.
Oh, definitely,
he's playing.
He's not going to miss out. He'll play.
Yeah.
Deciding vote. Bit of value around the Bengals too.
It is. Derek Henry changes things, but I'm not going to change my tip. I have also gone the Bengals.
Oh, God. this is close to a curse. Luckily, Sean's gone the Titans. So
That's it.
The poor people of Southern Ohio aren't going to...
There's still hope.
Get cursed by a bunch of 3 Australians that drink booze on the other side of the world.
That's it.
But yeah, really, really looking forward to this one. It's going to be Sunday morning our time.
Definitely, yeah. So odds on Bengals are underdogs $2.51. The Titans are $1.53 at the moment. We have a line of 3.5. Total match points of 47.5.
Did we see how we went overs and unders last week? I don't think we hit on any of them.
No, we hit a few. Scroll back up.
I think we said overs for the Cowboys game, so I think we missed that one.
Yeah, we missed that, but we said overs for Bucks and Eagles, and we hit that. We said overs for Chiefs and Steelers. We hit that. We did say
overs.
We
for
said
cards.
overs for Rams and Cards, and that
was
just fell short. Essentially, I think we're 3 from 3. So unders overs really hard to bet on.
Yeah. No, I'd watch this game. I don't think you'd bet on the overs or unders in this one. I'd leave it alone.
A game that you can put your house on. The Packers, they're going to bet the 49ers on the weekend. You'd think.
Oh, big time! So that's our next match. It
They
is
don't cost that much in today's era, do they? The old houses.
No, so
Put the wife and kids on it.
it is a classic revenge game for Aaron Rodgers against the 49ers. Historically, they overlooked him, and his record against the 49ers is excellent.
Except in NFC Championship games, I do believe that the 49ers might have one at Colin Kaepernick might have something to say about it.
Yes.
This
I
year-
said historically over a long period of his career versus one game. But
History's a long time, I suppose. 100 million years, according to carbon dating. Boys, the Packers have to win this, don't they? The 49ers, we saw, a great...
it's at the frozen tundra.
A great run defense against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Not the best team in their division. The Packers a week off. Possibly Aaron Rodgers last year there. He'll be hungry. I'm a Packers fan. I'm highly biased. I imagine the odds reflect my thoughts, but I would think Green Bay will be pretty short favourites and should get the job done here. We have seen weirder things happen.
Yeah, so on that Bosa update, as I said before, he has been back in practice. I'm not sure if he's clear protocols or looking like he'll probably play.
Good to hear.
Good to hear because they need the defensive guys over there. And Kyle Shanahan, a bit of a wizard. He, LaFleur and McVay all on that Washington football staff that did the rounds this week.
The old coaching
in
tree.
2013 under Mike Shanahan there. So all there, they make up 3 of the 4 NFC coaches. So take that as you will. Would that mean, would Kyle as the older head in those 3, would he have it over his younger counterparts? Hard to say. I don't think it matters. Aaron Rodgers on his way to fighting Tom Brady for a potential another visit to the Super Bowl. So I'm going Packers. Long-winded way to say Packers.
You want to curse them? The curse. The
I
Packers is also
don't think
curse.
it's that much of a curse. I'll be interested to see what their odds are. They should be favourites, but I'm not sure how heavy they'd be.
$1.40.
$1.40, yeah.
For a playoff game, that's still
San
pretty.
Fran at $3.
That's still pretty heavy for a playoff game.
I'm going to attempt the curse because I don't want my Tampa Bay Bucks seeing them in the playoffs. I've gone Packs as well, say $1.40. San Fran are out at $3.01. We've got a line of 5.5, total match points of 47.5.
Don't bet unders overs. That's what we've learned.
Throughout here, yes.
Frozen tundra. We'll see how cold it is up there in the northern end of Wisconsin on the weekend. This
Be interesting that game ends up being because it both have the 2-pronged sort of rushing attacks going into it, whether it just becomes a grindy, festive run game. Again, depending on the weather, if it's
January
windy and
football.
snowing, like, hey, that might be the option they take for it, but we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. A game that's not going to be affected by weather, you wouldn't think, will be the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down there in Florida.
Yeah, if it's not a hurricane, I think they'll be sweet. So
it's not hurricane season.
so that should be sweet.
Fingers crossed. Von Miller, we spoke about his impact for the Rams. He's really finding his niche over there in the States.
Slow start
You know what
originally.
they say over there? Niche.
Yep.
Niche. He's found his niche. Anyways, potato, I guess.
He did have a slow start with them, but he's 5 sacks in the last 6 games. He got 1 on the weekend against Colin Murray. So coming along nicely. And the reason I bring it up is a little bit of a kryptonite there for Tom Brady. Remembering their runs in the playoffs when he was at the Pats 2013, 2015, beating them both times in the AFC Championship game. So not a huge fan of the pass rush, old Tom Brady, and he's down a little bit in receiving options. Has me leading towards the Rams in this one. So I've picked the Rams
I like it.
to win this one because I don't. If you compare this Tom Brady team to last year's, well, they should call them the Bucks team, not Tom Brady's team. The Bucks last year, and then this Bucks team.
52 guys on the roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
It's. I think it's lacking some core pieces, and whether, Bell stands up, and whether Evans is just elite, and whether the tight ends.
He's going to get Ramsey in this one.
Yeah,
Got to think of that.
Yep. So it's. I don't know. I think the Rams might have their number in this one if they play a good D.
I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I think both teams have got really good offenses, really good defenses. To me, again, biased Packers fan, it kind of seems like it's a more enticing matchup.
Yep.
In terms of the NFC teams, at least.
Yep.
I've gone the other way. I've gone the Buccaneers. Tom Brady.
Hard to argue against the guy.
Well, he's Benjamin Button. He looks hotter now than he did at 21, and he's 48,000 years old. So I'll go the Bucks here. Even depleted, short on cattle, short on troops, but I think they get it done. Tom Brady's clinical this time of the year. Storyline wise, I'd like to be wrong. I'd love to see Matthew Stafford, go across in his first year and go from, not winning a playoff game until last weekend in his whole career. Yep. The most games by far out of anyone to not win a playoff game, or the most touchdown passes, maybe most games too. Who knows? I would love, in terms of a storyline, to see them to go knock off the defending Super Bowl champs.
Yep.
But my head says the Buccaneers. Monks 1-1. I imagine I know where your tip's going.
I don't think any Judas at this point of the season down the end of the table.
No,
definitely not. No, I can't. I really hate this game though.
It's a tough matchup, isn't it?
It is a tough matchup.
They looked really, really fucking good last week.
They do. So the Rams offense is just really electric at the moment. Like I said, great storyline for Stafford. Would hate the Bucks to knock him out because he'd definitely like to see him finally make it through to some sort of
Meaningful
at least
games.
NFC conference Super Bowl. Also with OBJ coming back, being productive again, seeing him light it up. Cooper Kupp's had an awesome season. You'd want
Triple
him
crown,
to round that out as well. Keep pushing forward to that Super Bowl as well. I'm probably not too worried about the pass rush. I'm worried about our rushing attack. Even with our receipts, some of our receivers out were still pretty productive, throwing the ball around. Obviously, I have also gone the Bucks.
What are the odds there?
Yeah, so shorter than I would have expected. Bucks are favourites, $1.67. The Rams are out at $2.22. We have a line of 3 and total match points of 48.5.
It's a few points considering both teams have pretty stout defenses. This game, like I said, it's more enticing, I think, than either
Watch and enjoy
of the Saturday night games. That said, they're all enticing. And speaking of
Playoffs,
AFC, Bills and Chiefs.
whatever the overs are, fuck it, don't care. Put it on.
Hammer it. Maybe
we'll see in a second.
I can look up the weather forecast in Kansas City. I tell you what, it didn't fucking matter last week. We had
clear,
47 points from the Bills and 42 from the Chiefs.
Yeah, so if it's cold, doesn't matter.
No.
If it's clear, not too much wind, all good. If it's snowing, different story.
What if it's cloudy and with a chance of meatballs?
Tasty.
I haven't seen that movie. It's just something that came to mind.
I don't know where we're going with this. I can't segue that into anything.
Yes, meatballs.
Yeah,
currently minus 14 degrees Celsius. That's nice. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Sunday, it's meant to warm up to a toasty 8 degrees. Mate, that is fucking beach weather.
1,000
beach
points.
weather.
All the
Josh
points.
Allen, Patrick Mahomes, pack your board shorts, baby. We're going to Cancun. I can't wait for this one. This is the strongest teams in the AFC over the last few years. The Chiefs gunning to go to 3 Super Bowls in a row under an absolute freak of a leader in Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid has been there, done that.
Yep.
The Bills, we saw all of America getting behind them last week. to beat the Patriots. I imagine there'll be a lot of Americans that are cheering on the Bills Mafia this week too.
Yep.
It's hard to pick here. It's hard to pick. I'm sorry, Bills Mafia. I sincerely apologise to the people of Western New York. I'd like to see it happen, but for the sake of my tipping, I'm going to go the Chiefs. And I think they get the job done. I think we'll see the Chiefs go into 3 Super Bowls in a row. I'd like to be wrong, and I often am. In fact, let's change often to usually.
Just make sure you put money on the Chiefs.
I put money on them, then Bills fucking walk it in, don't they?
Yeah, well, exactly. For that reason, that's why I picked the Bills.
I like it. It's good to disagree on the Esky. So often we're agreeing with each other.
Very true.
No real reason to pick the Bills. I think both teams, to me, kind of remind each other of themselves. Electric offensive, they've got the weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Defense maybe lacking a few pieces at a few spots, but they're still both.
Well, you like the Bills defense more than the Chiefs, wouldn't you?
Yes, I do like their secondary a fair bit. Maybe not their front seven as much.
We spoke about Michael Hyde earlier, Jordan Poyer. I think both of those guys got Pro Bowl nods, which is pretty crazy for 2 safeties from one team to get the accolades there.
Are those two going to make the difference in this? I don't think so. I think it's just going to be an absolute. They'll sling it out, gunslinger. Might come down to the last couple of minutes, and whoever scores last wins. But I'm expecting a lot of points. Maybe
Bills and overs.
Yeah, Bills and overs. Maybe. Well, I'd just say overs. Doesn't matter. I picked the Bills, but I think it's going too close to say bet on it. But just whatever the overs is, just take it because it's probably going to be
fucking high.
Well, I think the scores in this, potentially is going to be a 40-40 kind of game. I think it'll be about 80 points scored.
80 points.
So if the overs are 55, then I'd still take it.
53 and a half. I think if my eyes don't mistake me.
We'll jump ahead. So the overs is 53 and a half. On top of that, we have a line of 1.5.
You're not touching that. You're not touching that. Why would you? Just pick a head-to-head, which is?
Yep. So head-to-head, well, even that's a little bit hard. So, well, first off, I suppose I'll give my tip. I have also backed the Bills.
2 on the underdogs.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Only like both amazing teams. Only real reason is our boy Danny Rick, huge Bills fan. So
that's what's going to decide it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's what's going to decide the game. That's what decided my decision.
Your tip,
yeah. That being said,
Danny Ricciardo has control of your tip. I get it.
Yes. Don't tell Shaw that. All that being said, Bills are underdogs, $2.04. Chiefs are favourites at $1.78.
So Sportsbet's taking a few
close.
cents to the dollar there. Looking forward to it, boys. Divisional round. There'll be 4 teams left in the next 48 hours. Can't wait. It's the end. Well, getting close to the end of the NFL season. Every minute counts out there. Can't wait to watch it all unfold as it happens in the next coming days.
Yes. Before we move on, let's get a score check. So, can you also? Well, we've got Strikers and Hurricanes currently on. I think what did the Strikers get? 188, and the Hurricanes I think are 1 with that with. Short batting down the order a little bit, still pretty tasty for them. So
Darcy Short and Pete Hanscom. So we've got a game
120 with 6 overs to go.
It was 69 off 35.
Yeah, so still very, very doable, but
very much so. We did also see this is an Esky curse as it's ever happened. Naomi Osaka is gone.
Yeah, lost in the tiebreaker.
Lost to the unseeded American girl after she was up 5-4. Can you catch the name, please, monks, of that American girl? Obviously, Naomi Osaka plays under the Japanese flag, but is essentially American. But yeah, that's a big old Esky curse there. We're saying, an enticing matchup between Osaka and Barty. It won't eventuate because Osaka's gone. We've got Amanda Anisimova.
Anisimova,
who will go through over Naomi Osaka. And we've got Nadal. He's playing Karen. Karen, catch her outside. How about that? Anyway.
Won the first set there for Nadal, and I saw Pant got his 50 in the India-South Africa game. How did they go, James? Do you want to switch the cricket over for us, please?
And the Indians were looking pretty good.
Well, they were at that point because I think Rahul also got 50. It's just whether they continued that on or not.
Anyways, let's move forward. The NBA, boys. The NBA, the big news, I suppose. Kevin Durant, KD, the Slim Reaper, at Easy Money Sniper. He will be missing 4 to 6 weeks. MCL strain was a smoky, I suppose, for MVP. You still can win the MVP with 6 weeks out, but it does hurt your chances. I think Steph Curry is still pretty firm there. Kyrie, he's been stepping up in the away games. He took he dropped 30 in that 1-point win over the Wizards. It was a very, very strange game, that one, because we saw the assistant coach Dave Vanterpool. He put his mitts on a pass from Spencer Dinwiddie. Just blatant cheating, really.
Yeah. Ball was still in play, wasn't it?
Ball was still in play, and he just did a little...
Yep.
Yeah, just popped it out.
That's it, just the old Mike Tomlin on the sideline.
Yeah, the old tripperoo.
Didn't realise I was on the field. Didn't realise the ball was out of bounds. Well, that's pretty hard in baseball.
Blatant cheating. Cheating. Anyways. If you wouldn't mind scrolling up, we had a huge Martin Luther King Day. Those 12 games, 4 nationally televised. It was going up against the Rams and Cards on Monday Night Football. Monday holiday over in the United States. We saw a massive matchup between the Grizzlies and the Bulls, 4th in the West, now 3rd, I believe, versus number 1 in the East. A little bit of niggle in this one. We saw Steve Adams pick up someone. Scott Van Pelt was very happy about it on SportsCenter. he was saying essentially, shout out to SVP, absolute champion broadcaster. He was saying, if there's anyone that you want to fight in the NBA, Steve Adams is probably at the top of the list that you don't want to fight.
You don't want to fight.
Yeah, that's right. Ja Morant, awesome as usual. We'll get to him in a second. The Hawks got a little bit of revenge over the Eastern Conference Finals last year in a win over the Bucks. Trey dropped 30 and had 11 dimes in that one. The Suns, Big Dick Devin Booker, 48. They went absolutely nuts in the fourth quarter. They're actually down in this one going into the fourth and just went wild. And we saw the Lakers have a win against the Jazz. The Lakers got them out of a losing streak. They did lose yesterday, but they are missing AD big time. This team of superstars, LeBron, ageless, absolutely ageless, but probably not going as good as you'd expect.
This season kind of seems reminiscent of last year.
It does. However, if they finish 5th or 6th, you can't rule them out. If everyone gets healthy, and it's a different game with AD. You know, when he comes back, they don't have any Carmelo. I know it's Dad's Army. I know it's a lot of aging guys there, but I suppose you can't rule them out. But yeah, Lakers fans probably expecting a little bit more. Is that fair to say out of what we're seeing?
The healthy team is a very different thing.
Indeed. There's heaps of games Wednesday night as well, so there was only the 2 games in between Martin Luther King Day and last night for us. The 76ers went at it with the Magic. Joel Embiid put 50 up in just 27 minutes. He fouled out. Him and big Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba. Bamba. He put up 32.
I was wondering where you're going with this.
Bamba. Big Joel, he likes to take the piss out of himself and others. And he did so on his socials. He said, Bamba couldn't guard me. He put up 50. But he also gave up 32 to Mo, whose season high before that was 18 points. So shout out to big Mo Bamba. Yeah. Bucks and Grizzlies going at it. Ja Morant and Greek Freak, very, very good. What have we got for Ja Morant MVP? He will be the most improved player in the NBA. If he's not, the MVP. He has put the Grizzlies on his back, has taken them to the third place in the West. A bit of value, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we talking?
I don't think he's going to win the MVP purely on name value. I think the guys ahead of him, unfortunately, will.
Well, what about storylines? What about a young, up-and-coming point guard that can attack you in the paint? He's not a perimeter kind of dude.
True, but then, Steph Curry, you can talk about greatest ever shooter, setting all the records this year. You can build a story around that, leading the Golden State potentially to another title.
And how much does that play into it as well, how far your team goes?
It depends on their voting. If it's as dumb as the NFL is, then yes, probably.
What are the numbers, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah. All right. So I guess we'll start at the top of the list. So Steph is still favourite at $2.80.
See, that's gone out. That's gone out 30 cents.
It has. After him, we've got the Greek Freak at $4.50, and then Jokic,
The Joker.
at $5.50. Embiid is at $8.50, and then we have seen Morant jump up the board, I believe, and he's now paying out $13.
13. It's come in for Ja.
Yeah.
What's his first name? It's not Ja.
Oh, no, he's got a funny name.
Demetrius.
Yeah. Oh, he's got.
It's Demetrius, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's not that funny.
It's not funny, but he's got like a longer name. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's Demetrius, isn't it?
Demetrius Jamal Morant.
Yeah. Go look up guys like J.R. Smith and then try to work out where the J.R. comes from.
Or Julio Jones. It's not Julio. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward in the other games that happened today. The Bulls finally broke their losing streak.
Came back to earth a little bit.
Yeah, they have. We'll look at the standings in just a second. Obviously, Zach LaVine being out hurts him a little bit, but it does look like there's no structural damage. He did. He walked off the court against the Warriors, but I think he'll be back in the coming weeks. We did see the return of the White Mamba, Alex Caruso, today as they got off their losing streak against the Cavs. Mavs, Raptors, Luka, good. He had 41, 14, and 7. He's an absolute freak. Yep. And speaking of freaks, and you mentioned him before, the big Serb, our favourite joker, Nikola Jokic.
Our favourite Serb, let's put it that way.
49, 14, and 10. I know a few nice Serbs.
Sporting arena.
Yeah.
But anyway,
this is going good. An absolute weapon. Obviously, the defending MVP.
Yeah.
Have we seen a centre that's not so, he's obviously can score, but so good defensively and so good at dishing out the ball? Obviously, none of us are old enough to have seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, I saw a little bit, but not that much.
When you're alive?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I don't know what it was like watching him. I don't know if it's even fair to compare, but he's just doing things that other big men can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Embiid's probably the only one currently in that same sort of vein. But defensively, he gave up a little bit of points.
Well, and when Embiid puts up a triple-double when he has 49 points, I know he did have the 50 and 27 minutes, but doing the other things around the court, you don't really see Embiid dishing it out like the Joker does.
Yeah.
But yeah, the best Joker, kind of makes you wonder, is it Heath Ledger? Is it Joaquin Phoenix? Is it Jack Nicholson? Does it have...
Phoenix doesn't get a mention, bro. So.
I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Very interesting movie.
Yes.
Anyways, has nothing to do with sport. Let's move forward. The Indiana Pacers upset the Lakers. However, LeBron did get his 10,000th board. 10,000. First player ever with 30K points, 10K boards, and 9K assists. He's probably, the way he's going, ageless. We talk about Tom Brady being ageless. Does LeBron get 10,000 dimes and become, obviously, the first player ever to have 30, 10, and 10?
How far away is he?
He's only just sort of past 9,000, so he needs 1,000 assists. So that's at least 2 seasons.
He's at least got another year because again he's going to try and play with his son. That's his goal.
He looks fine, man. Like he's ageless.
He's a freak.
He I think he'll be fine to play another few years.
Mm.
And then the GOAT argument, which you could start your own podcast about, will really, really ignite.
There's also nothing to say that he can't be a role player for 5 years. Like,
sure, yeah.
He can just come off the bench and play 10, 15
But the thing is,
minutes.
he's fucking 38 and he's the best player on the Raptors. On the Raptors. On the Lakers. I was just looking at the Raptors. The wise crossover sometimes in my mind. He's an absolute freak, and we saw KD going down. LeBron he's never really been hurt. Like
he's had niggles. He's had niggles, but nothing.
Last year missed a few games, but never done a major injury. So you have to admire the physical specimen that he is.
Yeah, touching on wood, no commentator's curse there.
Sure. Monks, what do you got for us?
I just want to confirm, LeBron's assists 9,908.
There you go. Not that far away.
Does that include playoffs?
Ooh, good question.
That might be the stat.
That probably
it depends. Some leagues don't
regular season.
Regular season. So he's going to get it. He's going to get it. There you go.
Done.
He needs 90-odd assists to go. Yeah, he is a weapon. And the fact that people hate on LeBron, I've been vocal about it before, but...
You can't hate on him.
Yeah, fuck off. He's one of the best athletes that's ever graced planet Earth. So shout out to you, King James.
Interesting. There was another Pacers game today. They forced the Warriors to take him into overtime. Did also lose, but they were missing 4 of their stars.
They were paying 7-1. I saw at the start.
Wow.
I just thought, geez, that's a bit of value there. Clay still going out there playing about 20. He's looking really good. Obviously his workload's going to increase as the season moves forwards. But yeah, the Pacers really stuck it to the Warriors there. Let's have a look at these standings. We did see this week with the Bulls going on that little losing streak. A lot of the teams in the East catching up. The Heat, the Nets, the Bucks, all nipping at the heels. And then as we move down the Eastern Conference standings, the 76ers in 5th. It does make you wonder if Ben Simmons was healthy and participating.
It's all pretty close until you get down to maybe the Hornets, who are probably 2 games away from everyone else.
Yeah, top 6 looks pretty good. How good are the Cavs? We've spoken about it before on the Esky, but the Cavs really impressing. No one really expected them to be this good this year, and a team that's kind of been disappointing after going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year is the Atlanta Hawks. They sit in 12th at 19-25. As we move down into the West, the Phoenix Suns have taken a little bit of a lead over the Golden State Warriors. We've spoken at length about how good the Memphis Grizzlies have been. And then the Jazz and Mavs, they'll all be there. And then a 3-game drop-off before you get down to the Nugs, Wolves, Lakers and Clippers. And then a
Nugs have been better.
Big drop-off down to 10th with Portland. They're 4 games behind the Clippers. So maybe that last spot in the play-in is going to be hotly contested. There might be that one spot. Also... It's fucking January. Like, there's so much. There's so much still to go.
You look at that and you start thinking the Suns and Warriors. Maybe you can probably throw Grizzlies in there a little bit. They're a step ahead of where everyone else is currently. So,
what have you got? Anything there on Ben Simmons? No new news.
No new news yet. Yep.
Is getting fined.
I'm just getting fined.
Yeah.
Yep.
Each game he misses probably more than what we make in a year combined. All 3 of us. That's interesting take on capitalism, isn't it? Not that I'm a socialist or anything. Go back to Russia. Slow down if you wouldn't, Monks. We'll go to from one round ball sport that we like to the other one that we like. Let's just
update the India-South Africa game because our boy Pant, he got 85.
Dismissed for 85, 4 for 192 with 15 overs to go. Yeah. This screams of 300.
Yeah, and
300 plus.
Rahul got 55 as well, and they both got out right at the same time as well. So, a bit unfortunate there for them, but that's where they currently are in that match. And Monks, do you want to switch back to the Hurricanes? We'll see the end of that.
That's two future captains of India we're talking about in KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant. Hot take here on the Esky.
Probably competing against each other, for the foreseeable future. What do we got here with the score?
Everton, the Toffees, they sacked their coach of only 6.5 months, Rafael Benitez. They are running a dismal 16th. Frank Lampard, his name's been thrown in the mix to take over. Or Everton legend, before we went over to the Red Devils, Wayne Rooney. He's a Scouse boy. Imagine if he gets it. Obviously debuted as a 16-year-old.
I think he's coaching one of their, which is obviously not coaching the head team, but he's coaching one of their feeder clubs or their second-tier team currently at the moment. I think he was captaining them at one point as well.
Yeah, he was. Derby County.
Derby. You know, a little bit of Scouse accent from Liverpool.
I think he's actually turning that team around as well. He's been doing real well managing them. So
been good chat about him. So
how old is he?
40?
36. He's still
36.
He's a fucking
it's so young.
He was so good at so young.
Yeah.
That's nuts. He's only a few years older than us.
Yeah.
Let that sink in, boys. So a big question mark. I think they did announce that there will be a caretaker till the end of the season. But
makes sense.
Big news to see. Imagine if they get fucking relegated. They have definitely been in the top flight for the Premier League era.
Might have to check the standings. I think they're going to be okay because there's the three teams that are below them have been struggling a fair bit throughout the year. So I think they may be okay.
4 teams below.
Yeah, officially 4 teams, but the three in the relegation area is what I was talking about.
Okay, relegation.
Yes.
I'm with you.
The 3 currently in the
three
being
in
regulation. Yes, are going to be. Yeah, I knew there was 4 between them.
They're
There's 20
getting
teams in the EPL.
Regulated?
Yeah, they're getting regulated.
Yeah, you get regulated. Where's your fucking checkbook?
All right,
It's in Saudi,
we did
bro.
have a lot of EPL games during the week. Boys, the Spurs Foxes game yesterday was fucking mental. Foxes were up 2-1, 90 minutes plus 5. And then Steven Bergwijn, the Flying Dutchman, comes in and knocks one in, picks up, the old pick up the ball, let's get it back, make him kick off. And then they turned it over, and then Harry Kane put through a lovely through pass for Bergwijn to go through and win 3-2, cut it back, put it in the bottom left corner.
Last like couple seconds of injury time as well. Like
ridiculous.
if they turn it over, they blow the whistle. It's all done. So.
Spurs going in the right direction. They're on a bit of a win streak at the moment. Harry Kane got his 250th club goal in that one. United 3-1 over Brentford. A really boring as batshit first half in that one. Before the Red Devils really opened up, Anthony Elanga, the 19-year-old Swede, he had a nice little, kind of FIFA-esque-ish goal in terms of FIFA, the video game. Like a little touch on the head, little chip of the keeper, put it in. 19 years old. Ronaldo, the fierce competitor that he is, he was unhappy about getting dragged with 10 minutes to go, being up 2-0. That's what you want to see out of a 37-year-old fucking goat.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's got some incentives goal related in his contract. So
does he need any more money?
True.
Needs, wants, I guess. That's an exercise we did in primary school.
Exactly.
City beat Chelsea. They have solidified their lead. I don't think anyone can catch them now. Monks, have you got the table there? I believe they've got 11 points clear of Liverpool. 11 points clear of Liverpool. Liverpool do have a game in hand, but look, there's still 16 regular season games to go there for City. So who knows? But
Arsenal slid down a little bit with Tottenham jumping in there.
Well, I tell you what,
switch spots.
That race for fourth, because Chelsea's 7 points clear of the Hammers.
Top 3 sorted.
They're in fourth. Spurs have got 3 games in hand behind West Ham, and they're only a point behind. So they'd be the favourite to sneak into that top 4 at the midway point of the season. They are followed by Gunners and United, a point behind them. But Tottenham definitely in the last month have been doing the right things. Africa Cup of Nations, boys.
Check the bottom of that table. Just to
You want to see Everton?
19.
19. They're 5 clear of Watford on 14, and then Norwich,
6
Newcastle.
Norwich. That's what they worry about. They've got 2 games ahead of in hand against Norwich as well. So
a lot of football still to be played.
Yeah.
Africa Cup of Nations, boys. Some big teams missing out.
How'd Egypt do, baby?
They're through. They came second in their group. They're still alive. Can you bring up the round of 16 bracket there, if you wouldn't mind? Did put an almighty Mickey on them dropping their first game. It was against Nigeria, I believe. It was pretty fucking strong. But in terms of strong teams that missing out, Ghana missed out. We did see him in the World Cup quarterfinals a few years ago. Big, African powerhouses in Gabon and Comoros going through. It's actually a bit of a spicy game between Ghana and Gabon. The captain, I think, he got sent. He got sent for the Ghanaians right at the end. Gabon trying to channel Brazil, just ripping off their kit big time, like just yellow, blue.
Yep.
And Algeria, they failed to qualify for the round of 16, which is happening over the weekend.
Yep.
We've got Burkina Faso and Gabon, Nigeria, Tunisia, 2 teams that have got a big history. Senegal and Cape Verde, a little nation off the west coast. It's actually off Senegal. It's about 400,000 people.
Maybe a little rivalry there.
Yeah. They're speak Portuguese. About the population of our little town here in Canberra. Interesting to see them make round of 16. Mali, Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea, a tiny nation. Guinea, Gambia, and then Cameroon, Comoros, a tiny little nation. Ivory Coast, Egypt. That's the big.
That's the taste. I scrolled down that list and I was like, "Ooh, that's the taste."
That's massive. That is massive. And Morocco, Malawi, Africa Cup of Nations. So into the round of 16. It's been a weird tournament so far. We obviously saw last week that the bungle with the timing and a few fists getting thrown around between Gabon and Ghana. Speaking of big African boys throwing some fists,
segue of the century.
What a
the
segue.
UFC 270 is 48 hours away. Ding. The champ versus the interim champ, Francis Ngannou. Cyril Gane. I insist it's Gane. I do listen to a podcast called Weighing In, one of the biggest MMA podcasts in the world. And Josh the Punk Thompson, accomplished fighter, obviously very high fight IQ.
Yep.
He likes to call Cyril cereal, as in Fruit Loops, Rock Bubbles, etc., Weet-Bix. So yeah, I can't really get a read on the pronunciation. I do believe it's Gane. In the French, as you would.
Yeah.
But
I'm following you.
But he's happy with Garn, which is I believe how Rogan was pronouncing it, and he's happy even if you were to rhyme it with Gain. Cyril Gain.
That's how I was saying it. So
What's he got to gain out of this fight? Well, he could
become the champion.
He could gain the heavyweight championship
Unify that belt
of the world. We've seen Francis Ngannou. He's visibly pissed off about Cyril even being allowed to be the interim champ here. He's been going back and forth with Dana.
A whole lot of nothing.
Hey,
Yep.
who do we like here? In terms of knockout power, both of these guys, they're 2 of the baddest motherfuckers in the world. What are we thinking here, lads?
It's hard to get a read on this fight because you take out of the way, hey, there's going to be fireworks that need to come out guns blazing. But I don't think where they are in the rankings, where they are in terms of the sport, I think it's going to be more calculated than that. So it wouldn't surprise me if the first round is actually very slow and feeling it out. Don't think this is going to...
We saw that in Ngannou and Lewis, didn't we?
I think that was one extreme to one end, and Ngannou, I think, was a little bit gun-shy after losing to Stipe previously coming into that.
When Ngannou went back at Stipe, we saw the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Just absolute
He needed his confidence back.
Bombs.
So I think Ngannou knows that, and I think there's going to be a general respect there. They are former teammates. They understand what each is capable of.
Cyril was talking shit on socials, showing I can take him down and shit. They were
I don't know.
together.
I think that's probably going to be a non-factor in this. I don't think that's really going to play too much. I could be completely wrong with that, but I don't think either of these guys historically have
that
played as that their game plan.
I don't think either of them wants them to go to the ground.
No, so I think it might start off as a very tactical fight, and as they get more tired, probably through the second round, maybe they get more loose, and you start seeing the bazookas come out, and who knows at that point.
That's what everyone wants to say, is it not? The bazookas?
Yeah, pretty much, definitely. Will it be in the first minute? Maybe there'll be a quick flurry, and whether that kind of leads, how the direction of it, or whether I think they'll be conservative. I think it'll be conservative for the first round, and then probably second round, whoever lands that bazooka is gonna win this.
Interesting Freudian slip there of yours regarding Fury and flurries.
Yes,
McFlurries, if you will. Francis Ngannou has been talking up that he might want out of the UFC. He wants to get paid, and he
wants boxing options at least. So yeah,
could he go in the ring against the Tyson Fury? That's who he wants. He wants like $100 million fight.
Who knows? I did say
surely not. Like, we're talking about one of the best boxers of all time in the heavy. You can't just jump across as skillful as Francis is. And
Conor McGregor, Jake, Logan Paul fighting Floyd.
I guess maybe he can. Maybe he can make his bank, and he deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's purely a money prize fight at this point, and it's not like he's going to be fighting for a title. I don't think that's kind of the angle you'd be going at. But hey, that'll put bums in seats. People will want to see
eyeballs, etc.
Exactly, but you see what the Bronze Bomber, like Wilder, has just as much power, if not very similar to what Ngannou is, and
he's a boxer.
Yeah, and he's been a boxer for many years compared to what Ngannou's been doing. So,
anyways, that's all.
Well, to finish your Fury point, I did see Joseph Parker from New Zealand and Sonny Bill, both the Kiwi boys, up doing sparring with Tyson Fury. So it was good to see that they came through and they're actually doing that. So
how about Tyson just has the people's body as well, doesn't he? Like, let's be honest, he's tall.
The dad bod
He's fat. He's fat, and he's one of the baddest motherfuckers to ever walk on planet Earth.
Yeah, well,
the Gypsy King.
Yeah, you show Klitschko and you show Wilder, and you put those pictures and you put Fury in the middle, and then you say this bloke beat the other two.
Yes,
you're just like
smash them up.
How can you pick that?
Anyways, enough about Tyson Fury and his mad dad rig.
Back to the fight.
We got a fight this weekend.
Going to pick Ngannou.
It's interesting because I'm going Ngannou too, but the odds possibly a little bit surprising. Monks, what have you got?
This is a really hard one for me to pick as well. I think
it's heavyweights, bro. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. That being said, I'm probably leaning towards Ngannou if it goes 1-2 rounds. Anything past the second round, I think it's going to be.
Got to remember, Ngannou's been 5. Cyril hasn't. So
this isn't going 5. Is it going 5?
I don't think so. It's not. I don't think
if it's going 5, it's not going to be that entertaining.
Yeah, I don't think it's a technical kind of wrestle match like you would get with DC and Stipe. Like it's a different style, and that this I don't think leads to that at all.
It's stand up bombing.
It is. I think so. Gun's gone longer distances in his fights.
Undefeated, by the way.
Undefeated. Yeah. So he's usually going through to that 3rd, 5th round in those types of fights. Whereas Ngannou, besides the fight with Stipe and Lewis going the distance, everything's finished first, second round.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So in recent times, he's always been in that 1-2 round. I don't know if he can get past that 3rd into the championship rounds.
Again, it might not matter.
It might not matter. Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's within the first 2 rounds, it's probably leaning a little bit more to Ngannou. Heading into the championship rounds, it's probably leaning a little bit more towards Ngannou with probably a little bit more technical striking. Yeah, I guess.
Can you have a look at those odds? Because Ngannou is actually favourite in this one. And
too many people sleeping on Ngannou, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. What have you done recently for me?
I agree. What do you got there?
Well, have you checked out the new Jackass trailer?
Yeah, it's Francis in there. The Jackass boys, I was watching it last night. Johnny Knoxville's got grey hair and shit.
It's weird.
It's cool.
It is cool.
At least it makes us feel semi-young, but
Yeah.
old at the same time.
Sleeping over at each other's houses like, 12 years old. Let's go ride skateboards. Crash into a bush out the front of David Stokoe's house. Let's go.
That's it.
One of my favouriteest memories is your
Favoritist.
Yeah, exactly. I made a word. Favoritist.
Fucking oath. Let's go. We're 12.
Your
Nothing's
old
changed.
man
Nothing's
coming in
changed.
and walking in like, what's this shit you're watching? And then he watches
Shaka.
one skit and he's just like
laughing his head off.
He's just like, oh, so funny.
And we all found out down the track they were all fucked up on drugs the whole time, which anyone that was an adult could have watched that and said, yeah, probably that,
Makes sense. Makes
yeah,
sense.
that's
Probably.
right. It's not just liquid courage. Anyways,
Moral of
Jackass
that.
4.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Can we get a sponsor off them if we tell everyone to go watch it when it hits cinemas?
Francis Ngannou.
We will be the favoritist podcast for your sponsorship.
If you want to throw an overhand right, and I'll take one for, let's say, $150. I'll do it.
That's not even going to cost cover the hospital bill.
Teeth probably $5,000.
That's it. Moral of the story about all this: Ngannou is, in terms of method and round combo, is favourites at $4.50 for the knockout first round. He is the underdog in the head-to-head at $2.18. Ngannou is out at in at $1.65.
What have you got unders overs on rounds? Because I would love to know what the unders are.
I don't know if they do that on rounds.
I think they should do it. Putting you to work here.
Yeah.
And you know what? Interesting story out of this one as well. Ngannou, obviously out of France. Ngannou spent a lot of time in France, Cameroonian beforehand. So we're going to have, whatever happens, a French-speaking heavyweight champion.
Yes.
Even though they're both champs. Anyways, as it is. But
Oh.
little tidbit.
One's a paper champ, one's the official one. Whoever wins this will be will retain the official belt as the number one.
Do you think Francis is legitimately pissed off at the UFC, or is it all...
Oh, it should be. Yeah. Getting paid enough, and then they've made some paperweight champ. But you look at the UFC's angle, they're like, hey, we've made this awesome storyline, not steroids, storyline.
Steroids in UFC. I wouldn't read about it.
Storyline where we've got another guy that was at your gym, used to train with him, now has your old team training them.
Yep.
You've got a new team. You're both champions, both out of France, etc. Like, they've created that storyline there. And for them, it's like, hey, that puts bums on seats. People tune in for the first pay-per-view of the year because it's pretty weak outside the title fights for this one. So,
Which we'll get to in just a second. Unders, overs?
Yeah, so do you have an unders overs? So rounds 1, 2, 3 versus 4, 5 decision. We have rounds 1, 2, 3 at $1.56. 4, 5, 6 is at $2.33.
Sixth round. 4, 5, 6.
4, 5 decision.
And you said 6.
I did say 6.
I don't mind that. 1, 2, 3.
teach me.
Yeah, I mean, that being said,
4, 5, 6. Come on and get your cake. You don't need money if you look like this, honey. You don't.
You don't need that 150 Peppy for you. So anyway.
what?
No, keep going.
Let's move forward, boys.
Yep.
That's a heavyweight fight. Either way, can't wait to watch that. There'll be scenes regardless of who wins. Speaking of scenes, going from one end of the spectrum, the big boys to the little
tiny
boys,
ones.
and definitely no less entertaining. Brandon Moreno taking on Davison Figueiredo in the flyweight trilogy. We saw Figueiredo, former champ. Moreno took it off him in the last fight to become the flyweight champ. It's one apiece trilogy. Now Moreno a lot younger.
Yes.
than Figueiredo.
I think the first went
got the
to
belt.
draw, and that's why they had the second. And then there's some chat that maybe Figueiredo kind of didn't take his opponent seriously.
Yes.
And Moreno really did dominate that second fight. So it'd be interesting to see if reinvigorated, refocused Figueiredo comes out in this, and we get an absolute barn burner of a fight, because I think that's what we're hoping the second one would be like the first where it ended up in a draw. So, again, another one that's super hard to pick because they're both killers. Like it's hard to kind of split them. I kind of maybe leaning towards Figueiredo kind of retaining his belt, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's a fourth fight. These guys fight for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, I think Marino really outclassed him in the last one, really dominated him, got into the positions he wanted and finished it off. So hard to say. Flip a coin here.
Which sides is it landing on? Heads or tails?
I'm going to stick with what I did in the last one and say the champion retains. Marino to retain as champ.
I agree. He's younger. He's a defending champ. Nothing against Figueiredo, but I think Marino looked a lot better in the last fight. I'll go Brandon here to bring a belt back to Mexico.
Yeah. My concern is that last fight maybe just so misleading though, because I don't think it's going to be.
Put your balls out. Take Figueiredo.
I'm very, very close.
Put him on the fucking chopping block.
Yeah. It's be a small chopping block. So, but I'm not sure. I'm close. Like, I'm very close to leaning that way. But I think Marino maybe slightly still has it. But yeah, I think that second fight, just forget it ever happened. Because I think it's that misleading for
Clean slate. It's the code. It's nil all. Tough times, nil all.
Exactly. If they're coming off that draw again, I think that's still where they're at. They're so close for what they both do that it's really hard to pick a winner from it. So
I'll stick with the draw then.
I'll stick with the champ to retain. But again, it could go either way.
Put your balls on the table.
That's an even smaller chopping block. So,
please.
Come on now.
I need to keep mine, by the way.
Got some work to do.
At least for a couple of years. No, yeah, I think
might be in danger.
Yeah. Please don't do to me.
Oh, this is taking a turn.
Yeah, let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling.
I think,
pick, please.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where Figueiredo really needs to beat Moreno hands down. Like Moreno, I'm not going to say he can coast, but you need to beat the champ to be the champ sort of thing. So if it goes to decision, I'm probably leaning more towards Moreno at this point as well.
And what do the bookies think?
Yeah, so he is favourite in the head-to-head at $1.51 with Figueiredo sitting out at $2.44. That being said,
this goes the distance. I think if the last fight's anything to go off, I reckon you see the smaller boys, they got a lot in the tank. They probably lack a little bit of knockout power. I think this might go a few rounds.
That's it. Yeah. So to that method of victory, we've got Brendan Marino favourite at $3.75 for the decision. On the flip side, method and round combo, we've got Figueiredo as favourite for the TKO in the first round at $12, the favourite there.
If you want to throw a bit of money, interesting. It's pretty rare to see flyweights do it in the first round.
No.
So that's the two championship fights.
Yep.
The undercard, as we said, is kind of underwhelming. We don't have any ranked fighters in the main card or the undercard. We will quickly mention the other two fights on the main card.
Yeah, there's a middleweight fight, I think, as well on that. But again, guys, even more less known than these two. So
we've got Mikel Pereira out of Brazil taking on Andre Fialho, both unranked. This will be the lead up into the two title fights.
Pereira famously known for his spinny shit. So.
Yeah.
Kind of like Capoeira style.
Yeah.
Flips, spinning back kicks.
Jumping off the cage, all sorts of shit. So very unorthodox.
Entertainer, that's at welterweight. And then we've got Cody Stamann taking on Said Nurmagomedov in bantamweight, both unranked. Apparently, Said not related to Khabib. You'd imagine, both Dagestani going back far enough, there would be some kind of relation, but not immediately related. However, does train out of the same gym?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe they all overlap with the Dagestanis coming out of there. They've all competed at one point or another against each other.
Anyone whose surname is Nurmagomedov, I would hate to bet against.
I agree with.
Don't know too much about him, but the Dagestanis, they go hard. That is a bantamweight fight. So both the lead ups into the title fights at welterweight and at bantamweight unranked. Quite
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah, and the middleweight fight was guys that very very young into the divisions as well, and then the undercard didn't really have any big names as well. So I try and put bums on seats. So
First one of the year, I think.
coming off the Christmas,
Well, it's-
the
there's a
holidays.
There's a
breaks.
heavyweight title, heavyweight champion of the world.
They've
That's
given
enough.
you,
That's
they've given you
enough.
two tasty
Exactly.
title
And
fights.
then as we go forward to 271, 272, absolutely stacked from top to bottom.
Yeah,
So this weekend, all eyes, I suppose, on these two title fights.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Let's finish up with a bit of tennis. It's the Australian Open time. It's late January. We're interested in tennis for a few weeks. Everyone puts on their expert hat. Boys,
Amongst some sport.
the big story, I suppose, we've alluded to it for the last few weeks. I'm sick of fucking talking about it. But Novak Djokovic, it did turn out that his appeal was no bueno. He got sent home, and as it stands, can't come back to Australia for 3 years. Don't really want to talk about it that much.
That happened last week, so I think we covered it.
And he might sue the Australian government, which is great because we can hear about it for fucking, a year or something. Anyways, let's talk about tennis. With Novak gone, Daniil Medvedev becomes last night. Kyrgios did manage to win a set. We saw Kyrgios doing Kyrgios things, I guess, against Liam Brody in the first round, serving through his legs. We saw the crowd doing Ronaldo. And Medvedev not too happy about the crowd noise. It's funny.
No.
We're speaking about it with good friend of the Esky, Michael Steamson. Tennis, golf, cricket, you got to shut up. You got to, when the ball comes in,
Got to be quiet.
you got to be quiet. Imagine if it's, rugby league.
Well, imagine the Barmy Army
Soccer.
just around you, abusing you for the entire match.
It's a different game. It's a different game.
Yeah.
In some, you've got to deal with the noise of the crowd. Some you don't. Boys, I tell you what, full hand on my heart, full honest here. Probably not the biggest Nick Kyrgios fan in the past. He's grown on me a little bit.
Oh, it's definitely better recently with the back and forth with the Joker as well. It's definitely helped him.
The back and forth throughout the bushfires a couple of years ago, really good in getting behind that, supporting, what was going on in that. Pretty good throughout COVID. But yeah, he actually was undefeated against Medvedev going into this one, 2-0. He was paying about $6 and held himself pretty well for a guy that hasn't played a whole lot of tennis, over the last 12, 18 months.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, he was coming off having COVID, so he was in quarantine for 2 weeks. So
had COVID the week before.
Yep, so didn't really have time to prepare.
Performed pretty well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Do we see Medvedev taking this out, or do we see? I hope. I'm riding the walk train. I'm riding the most of the suburbs of Sydney coming into this one. I can say that because I'm Italian heritage myself, but I've got Berrettini and our good friends across the Adriatic, the Greeks. I've got Stefanos Tsitsipas. I think one of those two takes it out. As well, we've got Rafael Nadal
As we're watching Rafa,
about to win his second set against Karen Khachanov.
And then the Nadal win would actually be really good for the history of tennis because it would give him the extra one, which would give him the lead, and then give Joker another one to chase.
Chase down.
Yeah.
We've still got Aussies in action. Kyrgios gone, but Alex, the Demon Demonor, he's through to the third round. He'll take on Pablo Andujar, and Chris O'Connell. Who would have thought? He knocked off 13th seed David Schwartzman in straight sets. The unseeded Aussie Chris O'Connell, get the fuck around him. He's through to the third round. Wishing those two Australians all the best in a Djokovic, a missing Joker? Joker-less. Let's go Joker-less Australian Open in the men's tournament. The ladies... Ash Barty, we mentioned her before.
Yep.
She just beat Camilla Giorgi, the 30th seeded Italian. She did drop a few games. She only dropped 3 in her first 2 matches. So Ash Barty, the 1 seed, would love to see her win an Australian Open on home court, back home. Sam Stosur. She's still alive, baby. She's still alive. 37 years.
Make it sound like she died.
No, she's still alive in the tournament. She's only a little bit older than us, but she's
I know.
kind of, she's more athletic, better looking, has achieved something in life, so
Yes.
good on her. The 2011 US Open winner, she's through to the second round, which is good because she's struggled a little bit of late, so good to see her
Really,
there.
well, especially struggled in the Australian Open, being
Yeah.
First round in and out. So
Yeah,
it's good to see her get a win.
She's got some good Warwick Farms on her. Old Sam Stosur, put any less to shame, I'd imagine. And young Madison Inglis, she's through to the second round. Keep an eye on her. So plenty of Aussies still about in the Oz Open. I thought we'd finish on a little bit of fun here, lads. Maybe we take one each. Monks, get YouTube open if you wouldn't mind and try and correct us on pronunciation here. We've got a few of the seated ladies from the east, the east of Europe. On Veronica there, that J's not meant to be there. If you want to try and take, but
It's
essentially, we'll shit it in now. Essentially, we're going to do a pronunciation game between the boys here on the Esky.
Something we excel at, by the way.
Yeah, excel at. Yeah, it's really easy when it's like 3 syllables. So we have some ladies here. Their flags are all red, white, and blue, as is ours. But there's in different stripes. They're all seated women's players. Obviously, big fans of tennis here. Should I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, Monks, hopefully you're.
Which one are we going for
catching
first?
Up. Go the top there. I think this is quite a good tennis player, actually. Obviously, we're tennis aficionados. That's good. Better pronunciation than what I'm about to do. We have from the Czech Republic. I think she's the 4th seed at the moment. Barbara Krejcikova. Krejcikova. Oh, we've got Adam.
This is terrible.
This is a good way to finish the podcast.
The name of this Czech professional tennis player. We're going to be looking at how to say more interesting, intriguing, and
Keep going. It's good.
You can't play at all.
Barbara Krejcikova.
That's close. That's fucking close.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Krejcikova. Czech Republic. Let's go.
So if I
not
take
too
the
bad.
second one, so
Yeah.
the longest one there.
That one to me is the most phonetic.
Yeah. So Anastasia.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I got that one.
Pavel
It's Kova. So
Try.
yeah. So Pav. I got to be able to read it though. That's the other
There's
thing.
a lot of red squiggly line underneath it.
Yeah, because Microsoft doesn't like it, but I couldn't tell if it was a V or a Y to start with. Pavionki Henikova. Me speak English?
Pavlyuchenkova.
Pavlyuchenkova.
And then you can call her Anastasia. And then her surname is said as Pavlyuchenkova.
Yeah, not bad. Pavlyuchenkova.
I don't know what's going on out of your mouth. All right, Monks.
I got the Pav and the Kova bit, but the rest of it is just like me.
Well, I'll have a go at this.
Pavlova.
Do you want to type it in?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Are you going at the top or the bottom?
I'll go top one. I think I
Top
might.
one. Talk a little bit because I'm going to need,
Well, what's the first name, James? Start with it.
Yeah. Our first names.
I feel so untouched and I need you so much. And
Yep. So the first name is Veronica.
yeah, there we go.
Yep. I don't know if you put a little bit of a swing on that, some sort of accent.
I feel
Probably got the easiest out of the 3 of us.
untouched.
Her last name is Kuramedov.
She doesn't have a video. She's not famous enough.
Oh, unlucky.
Did you chuck in pronunciation?
Yeah, I chucked it in there.
Oh, not famous enough.
Bam.
And then last one there, we've got Makita.
Makita.
Get the fuck
Makita.
Makes fucking tools.
Yeah, she does.
18 volt.
Is it
back.
Is it Maketa?
Makita.
this is good listening.
It is. Yeah. All right. Let's go Makeda.
Here we go.
Vonderosa.
There's a pronunciation video. All right.
Disova.
Vondisova?
Vondrasova.
I want this episode over.
What was he going to play, Pepe?
This way, Marketa Vandrosova is preparing to serve.
Maquette? It wasn't bad, eh? Maquette.
Who is this Makeda?
It's Maquette. Say it again. Von
This way, Marketa Vandrosova is preparing
Marketa Vondrosova.
There you go.
Yeah, Makeda 2 amp. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Maquette, 2 amp bloody chainsaw. So anyway.
Be a good spot to leave it, I reckon, tonight, boys. Nadal has just won this second set there against
Yeah, let's do it.
Karin Kachanov.
Do a wrap up. Sixers won their game as well. They got the Hurricanes all out. So they
Strikers, you mean? Yes.
Oh, strikers. So Sixers play tomorrow. Sorry, yes, strikers.
Oh, we had to have that happen.
It was right at the end of.
Thank you to anyone that's still with us.
And
God bless you, and may God have mercy on your soul.
India 232 with 5 down with 7 to go.
We will be
they
back.
slowed down a
we'll
little
be
bit,
back
didn't they?
next week.
Next week.
We will have 4 teams left in the NFL. Cricket's quieting down a little bit. We'll have some finals to talk about in the tennis.
Yep.
We'll have a wrap-up of UFC 270. And then we may have a break for a week or two because someone's about to become a second-time daddy. So thank you to anyone
More Esky babies.
that has run through the distance with us here. Please, if you haven't already, chuck a subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook. We have a Facebook now.
Yep,
we
Facebook.
have a Instagram. We have a Twitter. It's not very active, but we have one. Thank you,
getting
lads. I appreciate it. Episode 70. 180,000. I'll see you
good
next
view
week.
count.
See you next week. In my head, that game about pronouncing Eastern European tennis players, a lot funnier than how it actually played out.
You
But,
forgot that it was us trying to pronounce their names.
That's
so.
where I thought. That's where I thought the humour might have come from.
Look, it's good practice. We can only get better at this.
Those red squiggly lines underneath.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Fucking Bill Gates fucked us up here.
Anyway, next week we'll try to pronounce BBL league teams. So we'll finish with that.
That's Ashley Barty.
Yeah.
Party.
Yes.
Party buddy.
Scorchers are the purple team. Yeah, right.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
And good night.
Good
See ya.
night. Goodbye.
Bye.
How do we